3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, if the Chicago Bears are actually going to keep Justin Fields, they don't sound like a team that's trying to keep Justin Fields. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is the story of the offseason. The Chicago Bears with the number 1 overall pick. Do they keep Justin Fields and trade the number 1 pick, or do they trade Fields and select Caleb Williams number 1 overall? Well, Perloff, it wasn't exactly a full force defense of Justin Fields yesterday.
No, it feels like we know our answer. We know that they're not into Justin Fields based on, I mean, if you're going to read into subtext, what I don't understand is, and we'll hear the quotes in a second, if they want to trade Justin Fields, should they be saying nothing but glowing things about Justin Fields? So I'm a little confused by the whole Bears media strategy here. Not that it necessarily matters in what the market's going to be. The market's going to be what it's going to be for Justin Fields or for the number 1 pick. But I don't know if they're playing this game right at the scouting combine.
Yeah, it's a tricky position, right? Because you don't want to say we're so behind Fields, and by the way, goodbye. And you don't want to
Why
say,
not?
well, and then the other part, you don't want to say, well, you don't want to totally say, listen, we got to take this other guy, because then you're kind of lowering Fields' potential trade value. So they're really stuck in a hard place here. It's actually a great place to be, choosing between these two quarterbacks, but it's a hard place. So Ryan Poles is the general manager of the Chicago Bears. He was speaking yesterday at the Combine. He says he wants to do right by Justin Fields.
If we go down that road, I want to do right by Justin as well. No one wants to live in gray. I know that's uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to be in that situation either. So we'll gather the information. We'll move as quickly as possible. We're not going to be in a rush, and see what presents itself and what's best for the organization.
All right. He says he's staying transparent with Fields through this process. They have been in contact.
That's what makes this situation difficult, right? So we're trying to be as clear and honest as we can in terms of, what we're looking at doing, timelines. So we've done that. We've been in contact with his team, and we'll continue to do that as much as we possibly can.
Okay. So they're trying to do the right thing. To be honest, and I don't want to sound callous here, you can try to do the right thing by Fields. I don't even know what that means. If you're going to trade him, aren't you looking for the best return for the organization, not for the player?
Well, I do think that players watch how organizations treat other players. I'm not, Josina Anderson, CBS Sports, always writes about that. How you treat your free agents makes a big difference. But that being said, why are they keeping in contact with him if they're going to keep him? Obviously, there's no way. There's a
right. If they were keeping him, of course they would be in contact.
When are they going to call him and say, hey, keep him informed throughout the process? What process? The process means you're getting traded. And now we know if they really were keeping in contact with him, that's exactly why he unfollowed them on Instagram, because they told him we're looking at trade. So there's not even a story here. They are trading Justin Fields.
Yes, and the team that has emerged, according to an NBC Bears reporter, Josh Schrock, I believe his name is, he said the Falcons have been in touch about Justin Fields. And listen, it makes all the sense in the world that the Falcons would be in touch about Fields, right? You can get a premium quarterback for maybe a second-round pick, a day 2 pick, and yeah, you're going to have to pick up that 5th-year option, which is $20 million, but maybe you like that better than whoever's going to be there at 8, which is where the Falcons pick.
And also, Justin Fields is 24. He could be in this draft with the COVID year. Bo Nix and Pennix are both 23. So I think that makes perfect sense. Obviously, the odds, remember about 2 weeks ago, Vegas said that the Falcons are minus 400 for Fields.
Right.
So that is a perfect fit. I'm a little disappointed because the fact that Eberflus wasn't 100% behind him means that there's not going to be this drama. And they also said it's going to happen soon before the March 12th trade deadline. One thing you said, though, I do think they have to be careful to say nice things about Fields because the trade market is here. You really don't think they can just lie and blow up Fields and then trade him anyway?
Well, if you want to be nice to Justin Fields, you compare him to Caleb Williams, which is exactly what Ryan Poles did yesterday. Yeah. He said there are similarities between the USC Heisman Trophy winner and Justin Fields.
There's two types of quarterbacks. There's artists and then there's surgeons. So within that group, you can kind of see who's the artist that's really creative. It doesn't draw within the lines, where there's more of surgeons who are, like your typical, like the Bradys and Payton. So you kind of branch them out on those buckets and go from there. So that's where they're similar.
I'm sorry. That was not Caleb Williams and Fields. That was Caleb Williams and Patrick Mahomes. My bad. He said they're more like artists. I mean, this is the highest praise that you can give a quarterback right now in this league. You play like Patrick Mahomes. And so if you wanted even more evidence that they're leaning towards Caleb Williams, maybe, comparing him to the generational talent.
Yeah.
I get it. And listen, I always thought this was the way they were going to lean. The domino effect of this is quite interesting because what does this mean for Kirk Cousins? And what does this mean for the Steelers? And there's a lot of teams out there and quarterbacks who are going to be looking for new homes. I went back and looked, Perloff, March 10th, 2023. That's the day that it was finalized that the Panthers were trading up with the Bears to get the number 1 pick to select Bryce Young. Mm-hmm. So can we probably expect around that same time? So, give it a week and a half, and we're going to have our answer about where Justin Fields is going.
Yeah, and I heard Schefter reporting on the compensation. We're talking about similar to Sam Darnold, 2nd-round pick, 4th-round pick.
Yep.
It's interesting. I've not heard first round pick in any of the reporting because the Falcons at 8 are too high to give up that first round pick. So let me ask you a question. If you're the Bears, is that a good enough offer for Justin Fields? Second, that's good, right? That's the best they're going to get. It's still worth it.
Listen, you've made this point, and I'll give you full credit because you deserve it. We're talking about yesterday, the Bears brass really kind of told you without telling you, like, hey, we're going to be taking Caleb Williams and we're going to be trading away Justin Fields. And you've said, listen, the amount of draft capital that you're going to get for trading the number 1 pick is going to be insane. It's like Herschel Walker type stuff, right? I mean, it's going to be an all-time boatload of picks. However, I don't think that's what the Bears, I think they want the generational quarterback.
Yeah.
They got to stop this. At some point, every team has to get that guy. And it's time for the Bears to finally get that guy. Hopefully it is Caleb Williams because they haven't had a Pro Bowl quarterback since the 40s. Like, this is insane. This is the most important position in this sport, and even if you could work the system and you could try to milk everything out of that number 1 pick, how about just take the pick and hope that you get your next Mahomes?
I mean, still, as a fantasy football player, you have to get the Giants and the you could trade down twice and get a hold of 2 of the worst teams in the league's draft picks for the next 2 years. It's definitely tempting. Ryan Poles was the man of the hour, the Bears GM yesterday.
Yep.
You have to be, if you're a GM, Maggie, you love making first-round draft picks. It has to be so tempting when you see what's out there. The smart move, of course, is to draft Caleb Williams for every reason you're just saying. You're not going to get another shot at a generational guy like this. But as a GM, all you do is make draft picks. That's your main job. It must be tempting to Ryan Poles. I mean, I'll bet you the offers they've gotten behind the scenes for that number 1 pick are insane.
Well, probably.
All time.
Yeah, probably. But again, why are they so good? And why are you looking at Justin Fields gets a day 2 pick and you're wondering why someone would mortgage their entire future for Caleb Williams? I mean, it tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, and by the way, I really like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields' problem has been coaching. I mean, I don't think he's had a great system around him at any point. His big problem, he gets sacked way too many times.
Yeah.
He can't get rid of the ball. So maybe the teams around the league are saying, well, this is a Chicago problem, which to me is interesting too. Because
they kept the head coach.
They kept the head coach. So this Caleb Williams, I know they have a new OC, but are they going to run into the same problem in Chicago where maybe the issue is the system and not the quarterback? I think that's going to be, even if we don't have all the drama we want this offseason, next year it's going to be a great experiment to watch Caleb Williams versus Justin Fields. To me, that's going to be already one of the great storylines.
Matt Eberflus yesterday, again, sort of tipping the hand, while the general manager, Ryan Poles, is maybe trying to be a little bit diplomatic here because he has to be. But Eberflus was asked about the most important quality of a quarterback, and he said fourth quarter and end of game situations. That's the separator for me. And quite frankly, that's been the one criticism of Justin Fields has been mistakes in the fourth quarter. Now, listen, in game situations, not all of these are created equal here. You know, why were they in these desperate end of game situations? You got to look at the whole team. But there were a couple games this year, Cleveland, Denver, a few that you can point to where Justin Fields made some bad decisions and it may have cost them the game. Yeah. One person doesn't ever cost you a game, but you know, it was some sack fumbles and stuff like that he took at the end of games.
Well, his second half stats are way worse than his first half stats. He's a guy who gets off the
game. You're saying not the season of the game.
Once he gets off script, I feel like the first 15 is kind to Justin Fields, and then he seems to get out of rhythm and he holds on to the ball too long. So he's a guy who can be coached early in the game. I think Justin Fields, just somebody has to tell him to throw the darn ball. He took 5 sacks in that game against the Packers. That's not exactly going against the 85 Bears.
Right.
And the Packers got to him 5 times, and he's super fast. That makes no sense. If I'm a coach, you just got to throw it out of bounds. There's something that's just not connecting here.
Yeah, the internal clock not there or whatever. I mean, sometimes.
But how do you know that's not the coach?
It could be. It totally could. I think Eberflus is gone after this year.
Yeah, I know. You've been saying that all along. That what are they doing here? Why they get rid of their offensive coordinator and keep Eberflus?
I don't know. This is like a Bears thing. They do this. They stagger everything when it comes to head coaches and general managers in these cycles. It's just sort of their MO. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I think 2 parts of this. Do the Bears owe it to Justin Fields to do right by him? I don't even know what that means. Do right by him. So I guess keep him in the loop and trade him fast? I don't know.
Well, it's probably he wants to go to Atlanta. I'm sure they're saying maybe it's if you get 2 second-round offers, and one's Atlanta and one is, say, Washington. I'm just making up a team.
Sure.
It probably wouldn't be Washington. Give me a team or I don't know. Whatever team, some random team offers a second-round pick. I'm sure Justin Fields wants to go home to a talent-laden Falcons team.
Sure.
So I think maybe they're going to give him that right.
This is like didn't the Chiefs let Tyreek Hill choose if he wanted to go to Miami or he wanted to go to the Jets because the compensation was basically the same in both trades? Okay, but that's Tyreek Hill.
I would assume if you're talking about, because when I heard this, I thought, okay, well, what would not be doing right by him? And I guess it would probably be sending him to a place where he won't start. Where if he has to
not
go,
doing right by somebody is always sending them to Cleveland. I'm sorry. Cleveland's fun.
Right, I know. But if Justin Fields, he sees himself as a starter, he's been a starter essentially for 3 years. If he goes someplace where he has to either compete for the job or they say, hey, we want you to learn for a year and then become the starter, that may be a situation that may be untenable for him. And that would be probably what he's telling, and his agents are communicating with the Bears. If you're going to trade us someplace where he can go and start next year without having any competition.
Also, he's very popular in that Bears locker room.
Yes.
DJ Moore has been his main spokesperson. I think they don't really want Fields to walk away angry and then poison the locker room, because I think that offense likes him a lot.
So I think that the first question is about doing right by him. And the second question, is this going to be a decision the Bears are going to regret? Because to be honest, if he does end up going to the Falcons, the odds are better that the Falcons are going to be a playoff team next year than the Bears are going to be. Just by virtue of the division.
Yeah, I think the Bears would be better with Justin Fields next year, too. Ironically, Eberflus might think, well, you know what? We'll probably be 7-10 again with Caleb Williams, or we might be 10-7 with Justin Fields. He's a little older. It's a risk, but I have a feeling in 5 years, no one's going to look back and say, oh, they shouldn't have taken Caleb Williams.
No, see, it's a 5-year decision. But again, you wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields has more immediate success.
Not at all. But I think we're savvy enough that we wouldn't really judge that, because we would know it's short term, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of fans in Chicago and a lot of fans of the Bears who want them to keep Justin Fields. So that's going to be something to work through. Are they making a mistake? 855-212-4CBS. And Ryan Poles says they are going to try to get this done. Well, they're going to try to keep Justin Fields out of the gray, they said. They don't want him to be operating in a gray area. They sound like great bosses, except for the fact they're trading your ass out of town. But
I felt
besides that, they seem like great people.
I was very annoyed by Ryan Poles, the Bears GM.
Why?
He didn't give anybody anything. He
basically did.
He's like full. Well, yeah, but he didn't cause any controversy. He just perfectly handled everything yesterday. Kind of like a veteran Andy Reid who answered nothing. I want more out of Ryan Poles. I want him to get nervous. I want him to do something.
Get nervous.
Something stupid. He just went up. He had the entire combine. I saw the picture of how many reporters were there. Calm as could be. Had logic behind it.
He just did this last year.
He's 38 years old. He's 38 years old. He should be, young and not know what he's doing. He has total command of the situation, which makes it worse for us content-wise.
Well, I think better, though, because let's have the Bears be a good team.
Yeah,
that's better for us. Again, we got to play the long game here. Let's have the Bears be good.
You're right.
That will give us more content than a soundbite at a combine.
He does. He seems to know what he's doing, and I think GMs who are a little looser around the turn are more fun for us. I want to see Nick Sirianni types. I mean,
you want 32 Jerry Joneses, basically.
Yeah, I want Jerry.
Yeah. Jesus is in the chat. If you want to watch the show. We are so good looking. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, really tens. Jesus says, Maggie, maybe Fields doesn't want to be in the cold. So maybe he's doing right by him, trading him to a warm weather place. How about a dome? How about Atlanta?
Yeah, but the other team, the second in odds is Pittsburgh. Would Justin Fields not want to go with Mike Tomlin? That seems like a nice spot, too.
I mean, the dude played at Ohio State. He knows what it's like to play in cold weather.
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably prefer a dome.
Wouldn't everybody?
Yeah, I mean, he's very much from Atlanta. So Atlanta's so perfect. It's going to happen, which is kind of, again, disappointing. We need more chaos here. There's no chaos around this situation. There should be, unfollowings on Instagram every day. I don't know. It just feels like they're going to trade him. Everybody's going to shake hands, and it's going to be that. I need something more. I need a twist here, Maggie.
I think one's coming. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. It's never that easy, Perloff. You know it. So much to do. It is Wednesday, which means Great Debate Wednesdays around here. We'll do that in about an hour and 45 minutes. So much combine to get through. Who's lying today? Get to that Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Real quick, the odds for Justin Fields, the number 1 team by a mile is the Falcons, number 2, Pittsburgh. But in some odds, number 3 is New England. That's where you don't want to go. That's why they were do right by him. Don't trade him to New England because there's no wide receivers. It's really cold. It's an unproven coaching staff. And I know Belichick's gone, but who wants to go to New England? That'd be the worst spot for a quarterback next year.
For 1 year, but don't you have some faith that they're going to be able to turn this thing around? I mean...
I know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure we're going to see it there. I would hope so.
Listen, the odds are not good that you go from having one of the all-time great coaches, Bill Belichick. I don't care what anyone says. He's one of the all-time great coaches. He might be ornery, but he's one of the all-time greats. And the next guy is just going to be also awesome.
Well,
it's what is this? The Packers quarterback situation?
I was about to say the Packers quarterback. But the thing about, New England has no wide receivers. They're really starting over in every way. Atlanta's sitting there. It's a crown jewel of quarterback destinations. You have all that talent around you. It's indoors. So I do think that by doing right by Justin Fields, if it's a similar pick, they'll send him to Atlanta. And I think it does matter because I know as a fact there are a lot of guys who love Justin Fields in Chicago.
But I'm not doing that if I'm a GM. And I'm sorry if this sounds cold or calculating or Machiavellian or anything, but I'm not doing that, especially not to someone in the NFC. It's like, great, I want Justin Fields. Let me trade him away to Atlanta so that at some point we can meet each other in the divisional round. And then what? He beats us and I look like a fool or whatever. I want to trade this person to the other conference as my first and foremost.
I don't know. We're talking about Atlanta.
If the compensation is equal.
We're talking about Atlanta and Chicago. What are the odds of them meeting in the divisional round? Are we still going to be alive when that happens?
Hey, listen, you know how things change quickly in the NFL.
Not that quickly. They don't change for those two franchises.
Well, with Caleb Williams with the Bears, I mean, you're projecting that this is going to be a good thing, no?
I am not super high on that marriage. I just honestly, I can't. I love Caleb Williams. I think he's a generational prospect, but I have seen so many Bears quarterbacks over the last 30 years just not deliver on their promise.
Okay, so what does that look like, though? Let's flesh that out. If you're saying that Caleb Williams and the Bears, this is not going to go well, what does that mean? Put pencil to paper here. He's gone in 4 years?
I think it's going to be similar to Trevor Lawrence, where it's going to have flashes of being great, maybe make the playoffs, but ultimately, he is not going to be Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to be middle of the pack. Kind of like, I think basically you're going to see it in Trevor Lawrence. The two are always compared. That's what you're going to have. Okay,
but Trevor Lawrence has been in the league for 3 years. We barely have gotten to know Trevor Lawrence on the NFL level.
Sounds like what I said yesterday.
But we all know where the Trevor Lawrence story is going. It's going to be up and down because of that team.
I don't think so. I mean, listen, is it going to be up and down just like any other AFC team, right?
No.
Who's been consistent besides the Chiefs? The Bills making the playoffs, but they haven't been consistently winning. I
don't think the ceiling is that high in Jacksonville. I think that unless they get a new GM, I'm not sure where they're going, and I'm not sure it's ever going to hit. Same with Caleb Williams. I don't think he's getting to a Super Bowl with Chicago.
Never getting to a Super Bowl. Okay, so there it is.
I think that this idea that they got the new Patrick Mahomes, I'd be shocked if Caleb Williams leads this Chicago team, maybe somewhere else later in his career. I mean, listen, your guy Josh Allen is amazing. He can't even get to a Super Bowl. I just don't see it.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. But the question is, could you have seen it with Justin Fields? That's the question that's right in front of the Bears, and everyone's saying absolutely not. Let's go to the phones. Mike is in Baltimore. Good morning, Mike. How you doing, sir?
How y'all doing? You know what? What was the topic? Because you know what, I was listening to another sister station, so I'm called the wrong one, man.
Well, the topic was radio callers and their contribution to the show.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding, dude. No. Well, you're in Baltimore, so you have to be feeling pretty good about things.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. So we got that. I put him on hold. I didn't hang up on him. I don't have the heart to do that.
Wait, can I ask, could we put him through, actually?
Yeah. Mike, sorry, you're back, dude.
Hey, I have a question for you, Mike.
Yes.
Justin Madubuike, system player. Why are you going to pay up? Because this is a guy who is a journeyman and all of a sudden is awesome. Why is Baltimore going to pay anybody? They can bring EJ and Bellotti into the room and make them all pro defensive players. So
Sneaky athletic, these two.
I got a quick get off time.
Like that. We've had a hard time getting an edge rusher, man. I mean, getting somebody that could get sacks. So really,
have you?
We've really had a hard time, and so like I said, he's a keeper, and so there's talk about franchising him or whatever, to try to get a long-term deal or whatever. But like I said, he's something that we haven't had, which is somebody that get consistent sacks. So we just can't bring him in and plug him in and the next man up. It don't work like that in Baltimore. We've had a drought.
That's interesting. I always think of Terrell Suggs as a high sack team. I just feel like Baltimore doesn't need to pay anybody. They can get rid of everyone and just you put on that Ravens uniform and you're awesome on defense.
Yeah,
well, that was more about Clowney and Van Noy and these guys they picked off scrappy.
If that was the case, man, they come here and they be an instant wide receiver, man. We've had a hard time at wide receiver over the years.
Well,
that's one of the rare things that we haven't been able to draft consistently. So they don't just put on that Raven uniform and next man up they become superstars. We've got some problems.
Well, like lots of problems. Don't know what radio show you're calling into. Ravens can't get a consistent sack guy. It's Wednesday. I feel it. I get it.
Every caller I pick up, I always start with CBS Sports Radio. What do you want to tell Maggie and Perloff? So I don't know what to say.
Listen,
and sometimes people want to talk about something that we're not talking about, and I put them through sometimes. So I don't know. Shout out to Mike, I guess, but that's
and the
weird
Ravens. Matabike.
And Matabike, yes.
And he went he was a third-round pick of the Ravens. So he's been there for 4 years, and he's consistently gone up in production. I think
out
this
of
is the
nowhere.
kind of guy you do pay.
No. You're the Raven. This entire offseason, every media member makes the same mistake. They get excited about buying free agents, and the good teams get rid of free agents. Like the great Patriots teams, they never paid anybody. The Ravens really don't pay anybody.
No, but you keep your own guys.
Do they? They like guys out of the building all the time, and then they stink at their next place.
I think
I remember Paul Kruger was the ultimate guy who had a ton of sacks in Baltimore and then left for a big paycheck and never got another sack his whole life.
I think Matabike, and we'll see, and you could be right about the system player thing because the Ravens always have great defenses, but he is in some ways the unicorn that a lot of defenses look for, which is an interior pass rusher.
No, he's awesome.
Like the edge guys are maybe a little easier to find. The guys who can rack up sacks, but guys from the inside getting 13 sacks is usually what you look for. Now, will he go somewhere else and put up this kind of production? Maybe not.
No.
Right. So that's maybe the question. But for them, he might be very valuable because of that. You got an interior pass rusher who can really manipulate the pocket in a way that really makes it tough for quarterbacks.
Don't forget they had Haloti too there.
Yeah.
Well,
but even he wasn't like a 13 sack guy. He was.
No, he's a run stuff.
Yeah.
But he was a first round pick who immediately hit where Matabike didn't do anything at first. They also they'll give away Patrick Queen, and Queen will be a disappointment for someone next year. That's how they're like Braves pitchers. Trust me, because the Eagles have gotten stuck with former Ravens before. Anyway, that's my
which is funny though
rant.
because they traded for Roquan Smith and made him the highest paid linebacker. And that worked out for him.
Yeah, they got Roquan. They saw something there. But do you think Queen will be gone? Do you think that anybody who leaves that defense gets worse? It's just the way it is.
Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines. Good morning, Bogusch.
Guys,
you know which radio show you're on, right?
We'll see. Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. The Dallas Mavericks had a 10-point lead with 4 minutes left last night in Cleveland. Then Max Strus hit 4 threes in 67 seconds to rescue the Cavs. They would then trade shots and the lead. It looked like Dallas got the final shot. P.J. Washington's lay-in with 2.6 seconds left. But as we all know, 2.6 seconds is plenty of time for Max Strus.
2.6 to go. They're out of timeouts. Dallas leads by 1. Mobley, Strus, a heave. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Max Strus, I don't believe it.
Poor Mark Followill on Bally Sports Southwest. A 59-foot buzzer beater for Strus for a 121-119 Cavs win. Head coach J.B. Bickerstaff on his favorite Max.
That's who Max is. And And it's as simple sometimes as chasing down a loose ball or, making an extra rotation. Like, Max never quits.
Strus finished with 21. Luka had 45 points and 14 assists in defeat. The Heat win streak is 5 after a 106-96 win in Portland. Jimmy Butler scoring 22 after serving that one-game suspension for fighting the Pelicans. The Thunder win streak is 6 after handling the Rockets 112-95. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 31. And the Warriors 123-112 winners in Washington. Those Wizards joined the Pistons at the bottom of the NBA at 9-49.
These teams, did they not get the memo that last year was a year to tank? This year?
They're just bad.
I know.
They prefer not to be this way.
When's the last time the Wizards were
Bradley
good?
Beal, which is
Gilbert Arenas.
worse, but
Yeah, you were there, right?
Oh, no. Well, Beal and John Wall together, I believe,
they have a
won a
year?
playoff series.
they definitely won maybe 2 years. They won a playoff series.
They showed up in all black, remember? They were going to a funeral.
Yeah, and in fact, they should have beat the Celtics the year they lost in game. They should have went to the Eastern Conference Finals one year.
And when I was there, Gilbert Arenas was really exciting. I mean, he was a great player. He was just a total nut job.
Yeah,
It's tough. That's a tough franchise. We could all admit that.
definitely.
I've never met like a random Wizards fan in my life.
No, not even people from D.C.
Oh, they're not into it locally?
Well, no.
I don't think
I think
so.
they're way more into the Nationals, obviously Commanders,
Washington football,
and then
That's a
they're into the
football team.
Capitals.
Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend's brother is from Baltimore, so he's big into all the sports except basketball because of the Wizards, because of how terrible they've been.
They've even done that thing where they really try to pander to the home crowd. They signed Juan Dixon and Steve Blake. It's like, that's not gonna work.
Just every player that's played in
At Maryland.
Georgetown, Maryland,
Yeah.
everybody in that little area, just come on, they're the 13th man on the roster, still can't bring anybody out.
No.
So, by the way, they have the longest active conference finals drought, 44 seasons since they've been to the conference finals.
Oh my God, that makes the Jets look like the Patriots.
And they've
dynasty.
had number one picks. Like they've had
Kwame Brown, right?
They had Kwame Brown. You had
Blame
John
Michael
Wall.
Jordan for that.
They had Michael Jordan. They traded for Chris Webber, who was a number one pick. It's not like they've had nobody. Like they've had stars.
Well, what was Beal, 2?
Beal was like a number 3, I think.
A 3.
He was a top 3 pick.
I love that Weber Rasheed Wallace team. That I was into that team, but then that blew apart pretty quickly.
Also, John
too.
Wall would have been number 1.
That's what I said. Yeah, Wall was
you
first
did say
guy I
that.
said.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 40. The next is Charlotte Hornets at 33, so there's no one even close. Except, wait, here's the longest finals drought. Kings 72 seasons.
Yeah.
Going back to the KC Royals, I didn't know that was one continuous franchise. That's a long time, Mac.
Thank you. I thought Bogusch was doing the updates around it.
Were they KC Royals or the Cincinnati Royals?
The Rochester Royals.
Sorry, you're
way
right.
back
The Cincinnati Royals. I was thinking of the baseball team.
I was like, no, because I thought there might be 2 St. Louis Cardinals. I was like, oh, there's that too in the NBA. That's cool.
The Atlanta Hawks are due to make the finals. It's been 62 years, so maybe this is their year.
Shout out to Bob Pettit. That's who probably led them last time.
Man, lucky them.
You guys may remember that the Eagles did not finish this past NFL season well. They were 10-1, but then the dreaded delayed effects of February dry heat set in, and they never recovered.
Yep.
Head coach Nick Sirianni didn't have the answers because apparently there are none.
There's not a book that is written on this is how you lead, right? People lead in different ways.
Big Dom might want to drive old Nicky to a bookstore because the biggest section there is probably leadership books.
Yeah, I know.
Nick Sirianni probably has a book on leadership. Doesn't every coach have a book on leadership at this point?
Most coaches write books on leadership.
Right, exactly.
I don't know.
I think he probably wrote one himself.
I guess this is funny because it's really fun to poke at Nick Sirianni because his press conferences just sound so drippy. But I know what he meant. There's not one way to lead. But there's
that's
definitely
not what he
books on
said
leadership.
with that first sentence. He got there eventually, but the open was not strong. No one's written a book on leadership.
You know what? No one's ever written a book on religion. We should probably get on that.
Or relationships.
Religion,
How do I be a better husband?
Yes, and diets.
But we can all admit, none of those leadership books are worth much. I mean, I've read 100 of those, and they're all kind of the same.
Is there anything you've learned from a leadership
No,
book?
it's like a self-help book. You get the information in your head, and it lasts about a week, and then it's just gone.
I'm trying to think if there's ever been a self-help book that I've read that has actually worked. I'm not really big on that. One book was a guy wrote about habits. That was interesting. And if you have bad habits, how to break them.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then how long does that last, though?
20 seconds and I was running guns to Cuba. I don't know. I don't know. Bottle of Jack a day.
If there are no
Pack of
books
smokes.
for Nick Sirianni, he's at least got a quarterback.
Jalen needs to lead how he needs to lead, and I think he's done a great job of doing so. And he'll get, just like he has done in other things, he'll get better at that part of his game, and he'll get better at, just because I know that he'll continue to work on getting better at no matter what part of the game he needs to work at.
And
It's always like a middle school kid who just like is just filibustering the answer. It's like, hey Timmy, what do you think about George Washington? It's like, well, he was great. He chopped down a cherry tree.
He deserved the day.
He led the troops in the revolution, and they won. The end. Like, it sounds like that.
I mean, I know I've made fun of Mike McCarthy, but having had to listen to that press conference from Nick Sirianni, he is definitely the worst person I have to listen to in terms of all the NFL head coaches. At press conference, it is rough, and
it's a real neck and neck race there. That's a photo finish
yesterday.
Between him and McCarthy.
Like, he didn't actually say anything controversial, but like just the way he presents what he's trying to say is so awkward.
When you're not making the Super Bowl, it really sounds a lot different.
Mm-hmm. Well, lucky for him, I think the Eagles something's brewing there.
Whoa. A big trade.
You guys say what you want about Nick Sirianni. How he came up to the podium yesterday and said it's back on. I'm telling you, you guys say what you want about Sirianni. This team could be really good next year.
Over under week 10 that Perloff's off the Eagles bandwagon.
The Eagles have
Vegas isn't even taking those bets.
When did you get back on the bandwagon? You
because
Howie that too.
Howie and I are in lockstep.
Is that true? Does Howie know this?
Okay, a couple weeks ago, Perloff wanted to root for the Chiefs.
Wow, yeah,
beat your team in the Super Bowl.
That's the Eagles West. It's Andy Reid and the Kelsey brother.
I know.
Basically
What's the
Eagles. Yes, I mean that's basically the Spagnuolo. That's all former Eagles. I can root for them. What's the difference?
They beat you in the Super Bowl.
What did I say was the problem besides fatigue all year long? Their back four is really bad, and Howie came up and said, "Watch out, we are going to fix that secondary." And if they do, I mean, they're
that was
right
it.
back.
That was the only problem. Was the secondary
literally the only problem?
Did he really say, "Watch out"?
He basically said we were really young in the secondary, and we're not going to let that happen again.
He's like, mount up.
They were old in secondary last year. The old guys got hurt.
He basically said Bradbury's gone. And he's like, by the end of the year, we had a bunch of rookies playing, and that's never going to happen again. We're going to fix this. Everyone knew what was going on. Basically, when Sam Howell throws for 400 yards twice against you, something's got to change personnel-wise. They're going to be much better next year. I don't care what Nick Sirianni says in the press conference. He's just a puppet for Howie Roseman anyway.
Well, that's true. It's just funny because Eagles West and the Kansas City Chiefs won a Super Bowl with a couple rookies playing in the secondary.
They
Not
did pretty
exactly
well,
the same.
I honestly, they were much better players than the Eagles had in the secondary last year. I think the Eagles are going to fix a lot this year. Roseman basically came up and said what happened last year was an aberration. And I kind of lean towards yes. You guys make fun of Sirianni all you want.
But wait a second. Hold on. You said they were the weakest 10-1 team ever.
Yeah, their defense was terrible.
You were grasping at
straws.
Yeah,
but then they just hired Vic Fangio.
So that's it.
They did a lot. They're having a really good offseason so far.
Because they got Fangio?
They got Fangio. Kellen Moore is a huge upgrade from the guy they had last year. Yeah, they're looking good.
Well, I mean, they also had your number one wide receiver had to call into a radio station the other day to clear up that he has any personal issues with the quarterback. So I don't know if things are going great.
A crazy wide receiver, does that ever stopped any team from winning a football game? That's par for the course. That A.J. Brown, I mean, what do you expect from him? He screams at everybody.
Yeah, where to get
and
you.
now he's screaming at our boss, Spike Eskin.
Yeah, I know.
That means nothing.
Right.
This is all good.
I don't think you get to go back on the Eagles bandwagon this fast.
I want
him back on the Eagles bandwagon because when the switch-up changes, it's going to be so glorious because we'll have all this tape of how they're going to turn everything around.
But this is it. It's February 28th. This is you redeclaring your Eagle fandom. This is day zero?
I was realistic. When you know your team is falling off a cliff.
You were realistic. You blamed the February weather on December issues.
I knew that. Maggie, did I not know that they were in huge trouble?
It's fine. You can know your team's in trouble. You can't then choose to root for the team that beat your team in the Super Bowl at the first sign of trouble.
Why did No. I waited till they got through Baltimore to root for Kids.
They got their ass kicked by the 49ers and the Ravens.
Let me say, I wasn't like a Week 14 Chiefs fan. I was a Super Bowl Week Chiefs fan. There's nothing wrong with that.
What else we got, Bogusch?
Men's college hoops, BYU snapping number 7, Kansas's 19-game home win streak. by a score that I did not write down, and the Pittsburgh Penguins on a 3-game...
$1 million to $1,000,001. It's a wild
the
game.
Pittsburgh Penguins on a 3-game win streak. This one was a 4-3 final in OT in Vancouver. The game winner from Erik Karlsson. Back to you
Kick
guys.
saving a beauty, Bogusch. Wow.
Now I'm like trying to guess what the score was.
I know.
Of that game.
I'm like, what could it have been? Let's all take a guess and then
BYU definitely scored more.
Oh, I actually watched the end of this game, so I'm like disqualified. I kind of know.
I think the final score between Baylor and BYU.
Oh, that was the early
Kansas,
game, right?
Oh, sorry, Kansas. I'm sorry, Kansas. It was an upset. Kansas against BYU. I think it was 78-65.
They're so close.
Really?
So close. Little smaller margin, but you're in the neighborhood. What does Pete always say? Right pew, wrong church, or wrong pew, right church? Yeah, that makes more sense.
78-71.
No, but you're almost there.
You could just tell me that.
76-68.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a great game.
It was. Yeah.
No one knows what the final score is.
Yeah. Who cares what the score was? It was a good game.
It was glorious. 855. Thank you, Bogusch. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Stephen Jones speaking to the media yesterday. What did the Cowboys, what do we call him?
EVP, I think is his official title.
Executive Vice President. What did he have to say? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
That music. Time for our Cowboys Quickie. Stephen Jones at the Scouting Combine talking about extensions and new deals with Dak, with CD Lamb, with Micah Parsons. Let's hear it.
We are, obviously between Dak and between Micah and CD, it's, the salary cap's real for us, with those three guys. In a situation where we want to, do deals with all three of them. So, you get to do everything you want to do with the salary cap. I don't think any team does. But, we're certainly going to be able to, go out and go to work and get the things done that we feel like we need to get done to be successful.
All right. Well, have no fear. Stephen Jones hasn't even thought about life without Dak Prescott.
We won't get our whole thing with Dak is him being a Cowboy. That's all that's on our mind, and certainly don't get into those type of thoughts.
And finally, Stephen Jones, though, will not provide regular updates about Dak Prescott. Shockingly, the Cowboys are not going to do this through the media.
We won't be expounding on those type of things with our negotiation. I mean, that's obviously something, as we move forward, hopefully we'll continue to make progress and communicate, but it's not going to be something, sorry to tell you guys, but we're not going to be giving reports on how things are going.
That's your Cowboy Quickie.
Worst all-in Cowboys offseason of all time.
Yeah, I was like, get me Jerry. Move Steven out of the way. Get Jerry wherever he is, some yacht in the international waters. Get him off the bus. We need Jerry on this one.
I think it's really disappointing because the salary cap went up, so why can't we get a star in Dallas? We need somebody. Don't just re-sign everybody. I know you have to, but that's not going to do anything. That's not going to get them above 12-5.
That's the baseline, right? First things first, you got to do a deal with Dak, then you got to do a deal with CeeDee Lamb, and you got to do a deal with Parsons. Those are the givens. See, when I hear all in, I don't think that should mean, hey, we're signing our own guys. Like, if you're a fan of this team, that's exactly what you're expecting to do. Congratulations, you drafted well. You found a franchise quarterback. Well, the Dak stuff has been totally messed up. You found CeeDee Lamb in the first round. You found Micah Parsons in the first round. Of course you're going to re-sign these guys. That you don't get credit for that. That's an obvious one.
Yeah, but I think the issue with all Cowboys fans and pretty much the whole country is they just keep hitting this wall. So how do you get over this wall? Do you have to do something differently? Is there something differently to not re-sign Dak Prescott? Or I'm not sure. They seem to need a radical move. And unfortunately, I don't know if there is one to make.
Oh, I don't think they think they need a radical move at all, because they would have fired Mike McCarthy, which wouldn't have even been that radical. And instead they kept him, keeping everything status quo. I mean, listen, Dak got over on them a second time. He's got the leverage now because his cap number is so big that they have to do an extension with him. And so he's going to be able to,
I mean, he was second in MVP voting. He had a really good year. Yep. I think 36 touchdowns, 9 picks.
I know, but ask the fan base if they think they're winning with Dak Prescott, and I think you will winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I think you'll get a very split answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a Dak defender. There's obviously a lot going on right there. Dan Quinn's defense completely, just totally imploded against Green Bay. I blame your Buffalo Bills because they showed the formula for beating Dallas, just run it right down their throat. They're too small up front. So there's a lot going on wrong there. Yeah, it's. I really want it all in. I don't know why. I let Jerry fool me. Maggie.
Yeah, you can't do this, Perloff. You can't fall for Jerry's tricks.
Unfortunately, Steven is a pretty conservative team builder. Kick everything down, kick the can down the road on all the salary cap. Have these huge bonuses that prorate to 10 years from now, and then sign somebody. Bring in 2 stars. That's what I want to do. Sign Derrick Henry makes no sense. A 30-year-old running back. Just be stupid.
What do you want?
Be silly.
What?
Just something. I really think the Cowboys need to shake it up. And I think you agree with that. It might be too late now because they bring back McCarthy, but still do something. Give me something that's different than what they've been doing the last 5 years.
Yeah, I don't think they want to do anything different. I think they love being 12-5. I think they love being 12-5. They love stringing you along, Cowboy fan. They love giving you these little kernels of hope and staying relevant. And they know the media is going to bite because there's so many Dallas Cowboy fans all over the country. So when we try to talk about something that everyone cares about, a lot of times it's Dallas. And they are keeping you in this state of limbo where they are on paper good enough to win a Super Bowl, but they haven't done it, and they just keep you coming back for more and back for more. It's sadomasochism.
But even that, are they going to be able to keep up 12 wins a year? That's an incredibly high rate. That's higher than 95% of the NFL.
I know, which is exactly the other thing they'll hang their head on. They'll say it ain't broke.
Well, and one of the reasons they're in the NFC East and the Giants and the Commanders are so awful. That helps them a lot.
These two teams can't get out of their own way.
It helps you keep it 12 for a while, but. Yeah, I just want them to I want Jerry to run the show now. Forget Steven. Don't even put Steven out there. You're right. I need to hear Jerry come out and say, I love my quarterback, but let's add this guy, that guy, and the other guy.
I think that there isn't even a guy to add. Like, this is the part with the quarterback situation that got so messed up. Even if they wanted to move on, where are they going? Kirk Cousins, the same thing as Dak.
And I guess one thing I think about too is where is the massive upgrade they need? Like, I guess a second receiver would be probably.
Oh, definitely.
God,
better running back.
Forcing it to CeeDee Lamb has gotten way old.
That's got to be, I think, where they focus. But it's not going to be easy. I mean, Dak Prescott has this huge cap number they're going to have to try to figure out. CeeDee Lamb, he's going to get another big payday. He's making $17 million already in terms of the cap number for next year. So
they need a killer linebacker against the run. They need a guy who can
and that's Mike Zimmer. He's a big linebacker guy, so more than Dan Quinn.
Right. They need somebody who, you mentioned Roquan Smith earlier in the show, somebody who's going to just chase down everybody. They need their Fred Warner. I think they thought at one point Van Der Esch might be that, but he can't stay healthy. So they definitely need some help on defense to stop the run. I like it. Mike Zimmer. Okay, give me something. Get me excited, Maggie.
No, I'm not doing that for the Cowboys this year.
Yes, you will.
Nothing from
Are you
me.
sure? You sure you could go all offseason without one moment, one flicker of hope?
Not this girl. Coming up, who is the best non-quarterback in the NFL? Here's one person's opinion.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Non-quarterbacks looking for quarterback money. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The latest, Perloff, from the scouting combine has to do with Justin Jefferson, who may be one of the best non-quarterbacks in the entire league. We can talk about who we think should actually hold that mantle. But his general manager and the Vikings general manager, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, basically saying that Justin Jefferson, who he's been negotiating with, right, who in theory he would want to try to get a good deal from, said he should be compensated as one of the best non-quarterbacks.
I've said it and we'll continue to say it. We think he's the best wide receiver in the league and should be compensated as such. We think he's one of the best non-quarterbacks in the league. I think he should be compensated as such.
Well, okay, that's one way to do it, to show your hand. But if he's asking for something approaching quarterback money, is that smart to do for a wide receiver?
Oh, of course not. I mean, look at the teams that were in the Final Four this year. Detroit pays absolutely $0 for their wide receivers. San Francisco paid Debo. I think that they might actually regret how much they paid Debo. The Chiefs obviously let Tyreek Hill go. And the Ravens have sort of nibbled with paying receivers, but they never really pay receivers. So obviously the high-paid receivers are not showing up. They have at times, but they're not really showing up in the Super Bowl. The fact that the Packers, who are really well-run, got rid of Devontae, Chiefs got rid of Tyreek Hill, I just don't think that the high-priced receivers are really doing anything for anybody. You might get to the playoffs, but it's going to be hard to win a Super Bowl. And if you're going to pay quarterback money, which Kwesi just said there, that's a huge mistake because you're really kind of throttling your own salary cap. Now, that being said, that's the other thing, too. Like, why would he say that? Like, he's supposed to be negotiating with this dude. That seems like a kind of an error of a comment by a general manager. I just think that they're headed down a bad road with him. And if they do end up paying him 38, 39, 40 million a year, then I would write the Vikings off.
Man, I like this. Keep your guys. Yeah. When you hit on draft picks like this, keep your guys. And I think Justin Jefferson is that important to what the Vikings are trying to do. And you can always supplement. He's not going to be the only guy who's going to be there catching passes. And Jordan Addison has a nice season. But, they have to figure out what's going on at quarterback. Of course they do. Why am I letting somebody like Justin Jefferson out of the building just because of money? I think that's a fine allocation of resources to pay your wide receivers. And listen, I understand that the Kansas City Chiefs just won a Super Bowl without this future Hall of Famers at wide receiver.
Right, two.
But they still had Kelsey, who is a fantastic receiver, who they are lucky is cool with getting paid like a tight end. When he really is one of the best, he's their first option in terms of a receiver. So they're just sort of getting lucky there. And I think that the San Francisco 49ers, it was a mistake they couldn't get the ball to Ayuk. Mm-hmm. That was something that the Chiefs were taking away, and that really helped. To me, paying your wide receiver, I don't have a problem with it, especially when it's a game changer, in my opinion, like a Justin Jefferson, like a Tyreek Hill. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, but what if they pay Tyreek Hill gets $30 million a year? He's the highest average salary. What if they paid 38 to 40? That's $10 million that you're not going to be able to spend on other weapons. That seems really dangerous to me. That's quarterback money, and also you have to pay your quarterback and Kirk Cousins too. I don't know. It feels like that you're really kind of limiting your flexibility as a roster there.
See, I'm fine with it as long as I'm not paying two wide receivers at the same time. I think the Vikings are doing this the right way. I'll have a Justin Jefferson who I have to pay a lot because I don't want him to leave the building. And then I also have a Jordan Addison who I've supplemented with the draft who I have cheap now for the next 4 years. So I'm not investing, $100 million into two receivers, but I'm totally fine with having a high-priced wide receiver on my team.
But what about the fact that the teams that are winning are not doing that? Well, I feel like you could it feels like to me, wide receivers are so generic right now. And there's so many good ones coming into the league. I mean, look at this year alone that I think it's a little bit like a rookie cap thing with a quarterback. I think you go cheap wide receiver and you spend other places, left tackle, defensive end. To me, like where you want to allocate your cap is not the wide receiver position. That seems like a doomed setting to start with. And the Vikings, is anyone going to say, if they sign him for $40 million a year, I keep upping it.
Yeah. I was going to say he's making $50 million next.
Yeah. By the end, it's going to be $75 million.
Yeah.
Is anybody going to say, ooh, well, the Vikings are building a Super Bowl champion? I think everyone's going to say, ooh, they just took a step back if they really hope to win a Super Bowl. Not that I know that the Vikings are really thinking that way right now. Maybe they're so far away that they're just like, we have to stay good. But this does not seem like, oh, my God, we're building a dynasty when $40 million is going to one wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I really don't. And I'd love to know what people think. 855-212-4CBS. Are you okay with your wide receiver being one of the highest paid people, well, definitely on the team, but one of the highest paid in the league?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. It's hard to break into the quarterback stuff. Like, they're so far and away. Quarterbacks and good defensive ends, they're getting paid a lot.
I think Jefferson wants his number to start with a 4, his average salary. He wants to get paid like a quarterback. That's what they keep kind of hinting.
Yeah, and I'm going there because I don't want to lose him. It's like at some point, If you want to compete and if they bring Kirk Cousins back, then you have to imagine you're not bringing back a 35-year-old coming off an Achilles just because you want to be in the mix. You think that you actually have a shot in the NFC to make it to the Super Bowl. So I don't want to, at some point you got to, or get off the pot. At some point, you've got to pay your players, especially the ones who have shown that they're productive. Listen, you want to let a guy go who's not very good, who you missed on in the draft, fine. But for the guys who actually hit, come on.
I think, you're not thinking like the Patriot way. You gotta get rid of guys.
How's
at the
that
top
going for him lately?
Well, in the heat of their dynasty, they were letting all of it. They never paid up for a position. They were never the highest paid at any particular position except quarterback, sort of, and not even really there. So
again, they got lucky that Brady was willing to take less.
I think you have to be shrewd. Yeah, but they got rid of so many good players at the peak of their career. I think that's what great franchises do. I mean, listen, the fact that the Chiefs getting rid of Tyreek Hill should have been a warning shot to the NFL. Do not spend on wide receiver. It's a mistake. Because take Kirk Cousins, for example. You don't think Kirk Cousins is going to throw for 5,000 yards, whether Justin Jefferson's there or not? Dude just racks up yards. It doesn't matter who's. He threw for 5,000 yards as our Washington Commanders quarterback. I mean, and who were his receivers then? I don't even think McLaurin was there yet. I just think that Justin Jefferson taking up quarterback money does less to help them win a Super Bowl than letting him go.
Okay, but what if you have a quarterback on a rookie deal? What if it's not Kirk Cousins? What if it's the Vikings decide to go draft? Now you've got a cheap quarterback,
okay.
And now you've got money to spend. Again,
who's this cheap quarterback?
Well, who?
Give me Pennix and maybe we'll talk. But if you give me J.J. McCarthy and and Justin Jefferson, first of all, you're going to be wasting so much money on Justin Jefferson because there's no way McCarthy's getting him the ball. It's a risk with a rookie quarterback.
Well, you've got to pick the right guy for your team, right?
That's a big if.
Yeah, but I don't know why they would go J.J. McCarthy. Is anyone even linking J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings?
Well, because he's a fourth quarterback on most. I'm just saying. Where did the Vikings pick? What number are they?
They're
somewhere in the teens, right?
I want to say.
I mean, honestly, that if you look at the history of the NFL, that's
11.
That's not a great spot to get a superstar quarterback. Yes, if they get a star quarterback who's awesome, it doesn't matter if they sign Justin Jefferson or not. Then they're set up. My point is, you're
just saying you should never pay a wide receiver, and I disagree with that.
No, you should not pay a wide receiver 25% more than the highest wide receiver. And generally, no, I don't think a wide receiver should be one of the most expensive players on your team.
Yeah, that's where you and I disagree. Now, as for Justin Jefferson, do you think that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa, the general manager of the Vikings, is right that he is the best non-quarterback? He basically said that.
No, I mean, he's nominally the best wide receiver, maybe by I honestly think Tyreek Hill's a little better.
Yeah.
But no, he's definitely not. And the fact that he's not going to single-handedly win games. Who's the guy, when you think of, we need this non-quarterback on the field or we have no chance to win? To me, there's one name that jumps out.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Steelers without T.J. Watt are just a completely different team. So a guy who can wreck every play. Justin Jefferson needs a quarterback to throw to him. He can't wreck every play.
I think Nick Bosa might also fall in that category as well, but these are guys who are getting paid a lot of money.
Myles Garrett.
I would also say I think that Tyreek Hill has him by an edge, but Justin Jefferson now is younger than Tyreek Hill, and if we're taking that into account, then I would probably give the edge to Jefferson.
I think you guys are underselling how valuable Justin Jefferson is, especially to the Vikings.
I'm not. I'm saying paying $40 million.
No, I know, but if you're talking about non-QBs, I know they are great pass rushers and they're great defenders, but look at who the Vikings were last season. I know Cousins got hurt, and that was a big deal too. But
they went through 4 quarterbacks last year. I mean, they were really
right. But even before then, and Justin Jefferson missed some of those games, they were struggling mightily. Think about what they were the year before when he played all those games. He basically single-handedly beat the Buffalo Bills in the game of the year 2 years ago. Justin Jefferson, I think, does add wins and does increase the value of your own quarterback when he's on the field. So, I mean, I look at a team that had 13 wins last season, and then he misses most of this season, and now they're picking 11th. I think that shows he is one of the best non-quarterbacks.
That 13-win season was paper thin.
But it's 13 wins, though.
Come on.
I mean, what do you mean, come on?
They were not that good.
If Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are.
They got whooped by the Giants in the first round.
They were a 13-win team with him, and they were a 7-win team without him. That says a lot.
I wonder if Bill Parcells, in this era of analytics, would still say the same thing of you are what your record says you are, because we have kind of shown that that might not be 100% true. And I think that's the only reason why you would, question at all about Justin Jefferson is because you saw in that playoff game where the Giants are not a great team. They came into Minnesota, and Justin Jefferson had 7 receptions for 47 yards and no touchdowns. And it's like, so the season meant nothing. I don't think that's necessarily true, but that season doesn't look great now because of how they flamed out.
The fact that the Giants were able to neutralize Justin Jefferson actually makes it important. It emphasizes his importance. Because if you take away Justin Jefferson, guess what? A 13-win team now can lose to the New York Giants. So
right, but you could take away a wide receiver. That's the fear. I mean, look what happened when CeeDee Lamb was arguably one of the top 5 players in the NFL this year. Then they took him away in the playoff game, and the whole team fell apart. You can't take away a Nick Bosa and a T.J. Watt.
You can.
You can't take away T.J. Watt. You can't take, and it's really hard to take away Myles Garrett. I've seen him break 3 blockers in front of him. Chris Jones, hard to take him out.
Won in the playoffs because they neutralized Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald was
which team?
The Lions. They beat the. I think they beat the Rams in large part because they neutralized Aaron Donald, a guy who we look at as one of the best non-QBs.
Listen, you can take Micah Parsons out of a game too.
Right? How many times have we seen him get taken out of
defensive
games?
guys out of a game, but T.J. Watt I think is a bit of an exception.
But it's so easy. A wide receiver, I think, are more vulnerable because they're out there on an island. You can double team them, and you can do a lot of different things. I mean, listen, you guys have seen this stat, the history of the NFL. Elite wide receivers rarely win Super Bowls. Randy Moss did not win one.
Okay,
Terrell
but they
Owens,
make it to the Super Bowl. See, that's why I don't love that. It's like you make it to the game, and then whatever happens in the game. I'm not saying, this is Moneyball and roll the dice, but I think getting to a Super Bowl, for purposes of this conversation, as a wide receiver should be paid $40 million a year. I think getting to the Super Bowl is as good as winning it.
Says the Buffalo Bills fan. That's nuts.
That has nothing to do with that. I'm saying if you like Randy Moss,
you just said getting to the Super Bowl is as good as winning it.
For the purposes of this conversation about whether you should pay a wide receiver, don't you think if you get to the Super Bowl, it proves that you built your team the right way?
Yes, but Randy Moss is a great example. The Patriots got to the Super Bowl and lost, but then they got better once he left. They won a bunch of Super Bowls.
You can't say they got better because they won one game.
All of those Super Bowls came down to one drive and almost one play. So many of the Patriots Super Bowls were coin flips at the end of the game.
I think they got better. I mean, I think that the second half of Brady's career, they were a much better overall team.
I think as a Jet fan, and I know Pete's here, I would much rather face those Gronk Hernandez teams than that monster that was at 17 and 18 in one season.
That was a great season.
That team was way better than those other Patriot teams. Now, they lost the last game, but guess what? The Giants also beat that other team, too. So maybe it was just the Giants. It might not have been necessarily, those teams were better.
I just think that you look at the elite. The fact, to me, the most important personnel move that's been made probably in the last 5 years is the Chiefs getting rid of Tyreek Hill and winning 2 Super Bowls. I mean, it's just there. It's hard. You could say whatever you want. The logic of that is really important. I think that GMs in Indy right now are saying, well, you know what? If the Chiefs can win without Tyreek Hill, why am I going to be paying all this money for a wide receiver?
Well, that's really stupid because what's the one difference that the Chiefs have that no one else has?
Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. So
Right, it's all like invest in quarterback.
No, but okay, you can do that, but the Chiefs are also, they just hit the ultimate jackpot. And good for them. They traded up, they got Mahomes. It's not like, they backed into it, but they have the ultimate jackpot, and he makes up for so much that you have the luxury of being able to trade away a Tyreek Hill. Not every team does that, especially not the Vikings. Who's their amazing quarterback? Where's their Patrick Mahomes? I mean, Kirk Cousins is fine, but he's not Mahomes. Nobody is. So if you're going to say, I'm going to do what the Chiefs do, I think you're screwing yourself over because you don't have Mahomes.
If the Vikings put $80 million a year of cap into Cousins and Jefferson, I do not think they have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
And that should be more than move on from Cousins, in my opinion, than move on for Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, but
Justin Jefferson is younger. He will help out a rookie quarterback more than anything.
Help him out maybe, but is that going to line up where Justin Jefferson's going to be peaking when this rookie quarterback peaks? I think that's a lot to ask. That being said, I think they're negotiating. I think they get him. They cannot pay $40 million for this dude. Tyreek Hill gets 30. You got to bring it down. You can't go out in Indy and say he's the most valuable non-quarterback in the league. What are you doing, GM?
855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Unless this is like an all-time head fake. The GM's out there saying, we never thought about trading him. Boom, tomorrow he's a Houston Texan. I don't know.
It seems like, and Perloff asked a good question earlier, like why is Kwesi saying this? Because it does kind of run counter to what you usually see from GMs. I wonder if this is more of a public appeal battle now they're figuring out because they know there's going to be a deal that's going to happen. So if they are as close as Kwesi is saying, which I kind of believe him because I know how much they love him in that building.
Yeah.
They might say, hey, look, stop blaming us for us not getting a Jefferson deal. Like, we want to pay him more than any other non-quarterback.
Right.
It's him who won't take the money. And
It's
I
like
think
the Ravens with Lamar. It's like, we're offering him the money. He's not taking it.
Right. I think that may be more of what we're watching as opposed to like, we're lying that we won't trade him when we will.
Right. By the way, Justin Jefferson, not as young as he used to be.
That's a funny way to put it.
He's 24. How could he be 24? He's been in the league for 7 years.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. You
got to keep Justin Jefferson.
I would put a fence around the building. I don't even want him going on vacation. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Sean Payton at the podium being very honest. We'll get to that next. And I believe Sean Payton on this one. We'll give you the Denver Broncos head coach sound in just a moment. It is Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I don't understand, Maggie, why you would be annoyed about anything when I have to deal with my 76ers getting killed on national TV again last night.
Well,
but something in your crawl right now. What do you got?
You know, I think it's because I just read this crazy story about a woman getting scammed out of $50,000 because she got a message from like Amazon. It was someone pretending to be Amazon that something had been compromised with her account. And like throughout the course of just one day, this elaborate scheme was being played, this trick being played upon her, where she thought at one point she was talking to the CIA, that somebody that had compromised her account and that her identity had been stolen, and there was a rental car near the border that had blood in it that was in her name. And she goes down this like horrible spiral where she ends up getting $50,000 in cash taken from her, again, all in the matter of a few hours. And I don't know about you guys, I get so many text messages about this kind of stuff where it does feel like, blatant phishing sort of scandals. But at the same time, because of the frequency with which we all, for the most part, order stuff online, it's like, this is the new one I'm getting. Your UPS or USPS driver cannot deliver your package. Text message.
Oh, yeah, I've gotten that.
Right. That sounds reasonable.
So what's annoying you right now is identity theft?
Yeah. And how I feel like I'm like the Jon Snow meme where he pulls out the sword against all the White Walkers who are coming towards him. Sorry if you didn't watch Game of Thrones. I feel like it's an onslaught every single day that I have to fend off all these, bad actors who are trying to get at my info. No one else feels like under siege?
Yeah, everybody does. It's been the main story for the last 5 years.
But why can't we do anything about this as a society?
I thought you were going with dumb people, that dumb people were bothering you, that because some of these people, like, that's that lady's fault.
The $50,000?
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't getting a lot of sympathy from people but she went into this sort of paranoid spiral. I mean, this wasn't just like your run-of-the-mill, hey, Nigerian prince needs your money.
Right.
This was a pretty sophisticated scam that they pulled on her. No, she should have called the police, of course. Right. She should have called her husband. She should have called a friend who's a lawyer. She should have told her parents. There's
Not the CIA.
She thought she was on the phone with the CIA.
Yeah.
Trick-or-treating with her kid.
Well, the worst is that when so they put the caller ID as your bank's name. And it's a total faux. So, and then you call your bank. The bank's like, we don't call you in situations like that. So that's out there now. I totally understand what you're saying. It is an onslaught, but I think Bogusch is right. You got to be a little responsible.
Oh,
here.
I know.
But this happened to me recently, so I can't even say that.
You got scammed?
Yeah, you guys know. We bought these fake Jordans from some weird site in Hong Kong, and
but you got the shoes.
We got the shoes, but we also got somebody using my wife's credit card in Amarillo, Texas.
Yes. Okay. So you got that money back. It didn't ruin your life.
Well, the alert came. No. Luckily, it did not.
Yeah.
But they had our credit card number. Yeah. So that's okay.
No. I'm just saying.
Definitely not.
At least the outcome wasn't catastrophic. Like this woman who basically gave away their whole nest egg to some people in a Mercedes van that pulled up, and she had this money in a shoebox.
Well, these scammers are they're getting more sophisticated.
Yes.
I remember my girlfriend had a story where their grandmother called someone called their grandmother pretending to be her brother saying, "Hey, I just got arrested.
Yeah,
I need bail money." And apparently the person sounded like her brother, knew things about her brother, and so she was like, "Okay, like whatever you need, I'm gonna send it right now to get you out." Sure enough, of course, her brother was not arrested, and the money was gone.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and they, of course, they prey on old people all the time too. But like, even the fact that they had that information on him, they knew his name. Again, they knew things about him to help the scam go through, and it worked.
I got to be honest. There are times where I'm giving away some of my information. So like the other day, I went to one of those indoor trampoline places with my kid. Okay, indoor trampoline place. They needed everything about me or else my kid couldn't go in there. My full name, my address, my phone number, my email address, my date of birth, my kid's date of birth, my husband, all of his information because he happened to be there. I'm like, why am I giving this place all of this info? Like or my kid can't go have a good time.
Because 7 out of 10 kids who go to an indoor trampoline park break at least one leg.
Well, yes, I had to also.
That's called medical insurance, but
I had to click many boxes that said I would not sue them if my kid jumped through the roof.
Talking about Game of Thrones, that's like a Civil War reenactment afterwards.
Yeah.
Any injuries? Everybody.
Knock on wood. No, everyone was fine.
Any itching or diseases too? You leave those places with
TBD.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, like Coxsackie and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, we've had that before.
Ball pits. That's not a good place to be.
But I'm like you, Maggie. I've given up on trying to hide my information. Like 10 years ago, I'd be like, I don't know if I should give this person my credit card number. Now it's like you can't walk down the street.
They have it.
You can't get a bagel without giving somebody your credit card number.
Just keep it on file.
yeah, it doesn't matter. I hate to bring up this topic. Do you guys have a consistent set of passwords? How do you do your whole password thing? Because I have at least 47 different things that I need to sign into.
Oh, the password situation is out of control too because it's such a catch-22. I want my information protected, but remembering all these passwords, and actually now it's like tax time, and so a lot of that stuff.
Me too.
And my husband's like, "What's the password again?" I'm like, "I don't know, Kobe 787." It's not. I'm just. I would never do
Kelly,
that.
1990.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people have these.
The best.
You have like a one code. There's like a little device you get, so it generates automatically weird.
Yeah, that's
password.
for our Odyssey email.
Yeah, no. Now everybody, I have a friend who, for all 47 passwords, you can buy something that'll just constantly generate. So you remember one password, but even that sounds dangerous too. So I think the whole world is security it's almost we can't win. We've lost the war here.
I feel like we're losing.
Yeah, I mean, in so many ways. In so many different ways.
Yes,
and this is just the beginning.
I have the loser hat.
Imagine when AI gets a hold of these scams. Oh, my God.
Well, that's what I was thinking when EJ said the thing about the grandmother getting bamboozled, saying her brother was in prison. I'm like, and the brother calls and says, I just got arrested. I need bail money. And she said it sounded like the brother. I'm like, that sounds like AI.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little while ago, but I mean, AI was definitely around when this happened. It could have been.
I don't know if you have voices though for people who are not in the public.
Yeah, he's not really a public. It's not like he doesn't post a lot in terms of his voice. So that I think maybe you wouldn't know. But I mean,
we're all beyond screwed.
Oh, we're screwed.
You got hours of us talking. If you ever want to do anything, Boomer, Tiki, they're all screwed too.
EJ, I was wondering that crime you said it sounded like they knew somebody, so that's a little different.
It was an inside job?
It didn't sound like a Russian bot farm.
Well, then what I had seen, though, apparently what they were saying was that they were doing this to a lot of folks.
Oh, they're just trying.
This was like a thing where they were getting information on people and then using that to call hysterically to grandmothers or grandfathers and say, "Hey, I'm in jail. I need bail money." And don't tell dad because I might get in trouble or whatever. Just I'll figure it out when I get home. And then every grandparent wants to help them out. You know,
of course,
so.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. I was at my fiance's family's house this weekend, and that's the first thing I brought up. I'm like, what? So it's definitely a real thing that EJ's talking about. It's definitely
the same scam.
Yes, same thing. Like,
wow.
We're never going to call you asking for money. So, if anyone calls you, do not believe them. So, that's definitely a thing. I've never seen it, but that's definitely a thing.
No, my dad got a call 2 years ago, a crying girl, and said, Grandpa, and my daughter at that point was 10, so she didn't have a phone, she didn't have a car, she couldn't have been in legal trouble. So that at least, thankfully, didn't trip up my dad. But it's a weird thing if you just pick up the phone and somebody's immediately crying.
Yeah, but why would you pick up the phone for a random number? A lot of people don't do that anymore.
My parents do not have a caller ID on their.
Oh,
they have, my dad. They have an
yes.
old school on the wall kitchen phone that I'm guessing is what he picked up, and just started talking to this upset young girl, and thankfully could deduce that it wasn't my 10-year-old daughter.
And if you say you're in jail or you're in some jam, like it may make sense, even if you do have caller ID, to see a number you're not used to.
Well, the other thing I'll tell you is that the government is never going to call you and ask you for money. They show up in windbreakers and bust down your front door and they take it.
The simplest advice is
billion style.
Always initiate it yourself. If somebody calls you and you're not sure, hang up and then call back the actual number that you think that they are calling from, and then go from there.
Apparently, that's another way this woman got scammed out of the $50,000, which is how this whole thing started.
What is wrong with this woman?
Because they said call us back.
No, you don't call them back.
They had a phony number that
you hang up, and you can go to chase.com, whatever. You find the number, you log into your account, and anything they would call you about would be on the website.
Can you imagine? They told her there's a rental car in your name. It's been ditched at the border, and there's blood on the inside. I would need depends. Like, what the hell? Someone just got murdered in a rental car? Or maybe? Oh, man. Well, that was uplifting. Anyway, that's what's really stuck in my craw, as Perloff said. It's really grinding my gears lately, this whole fraud thing. We have headlines, yes.
You guys opened the show with the Bears QB situation. Then we got to Jalen Hurts leading or not leading the Eagles. And now we're on to the Broncos, who have basically confirmed they are somehow dumping Russell Wilson before mid-March. Here's head coach Sean Payton at the scouting combine in Indy.
I saw this humorous meme the other day where there was a Bronco fan with a shirt on, and there was 8 quarterbacks' names with a cross through it, and he's drinking the quarterback Kool-Aid, and our job is to make sure that this next one, doesn't have a line through it.
So the end is the key there. Quote, make sure this next one doesn't have a line through it. The guy's shirt already in question, that had Russell Wilson already crossed off. So the next one is Russ's replacement. We've already played Russ this week saying he'd like to remain a Bronco but wants to be where he's wanted. And again, it doesn't feel like he's wanted in Denver. GM George Payton said yesterday, no one's called yet about trading for Russ, so Denver likely has got to cut him with a post-June 1st designation, splitting $85 million in dead cap space over this season and next.
Man, I'm trying to find this shirt online, and the only thing I can find that's remotely funny is a Beavis and Butthead Denver Broncos Let's Ride t-shirt.
Oh, yeah, no, this is a handmade white t-shirt that he markered on names and crossed them out. It's not even as fancy as that infamous Cleveland Browns jersey that had all the names on the back of it. This is just a t-shirt that he just kept writing names on and crossing out.
The guy on the internet, not Sean Payton.
I think Sean has it now. He made his own.
Yeah. It's like, get me 10 of those.
Are Broncos fans allowed to do this when they had Elway and Peyton Manning? And maybe I'm being a salty Jet fan here, but okay, it's been 10 years, bad quarterbacks, you'll get a good one. Relax. They've had a lot of good quarterbacks for a long period of time.
Man, we're such a what have you done for me lately? Because it has been an issue lately.
Like the Browns, they've definitely earned that. Hey, we haven't had a good quarterback in 40 years, or maybe longer.
Too.
Like Otto Graham, maybe Bears, exactly. Here's that Peyton Manning. Okay, and now you're in a little rough patch. You won a Super Bowl with him. You're really doing look at all these bad quarterbacks we've had. Come on.
Well, the question is, where does this start? Do you start it at Jake Plummer? This is a post-Jake Cutler. Is this a Kyle Orton situation, or do you start it at Tebow? Well, then you got Manning. So do you start at Trevor Siemian?
It's at post-Manning. They've had 8 quarterbacks, including my buddy Case Keenum.
Yeah,
it
Case
has not worked out. They throw that graphic every time the Broncos play. It's how many different starting quarterbacks.
I saw this humorous meme the other.
By the way, you know what I thought? My reaction was not about that. Mine was, oh my God, is Sean Payton, Jimmy Johnson in Miami? Who's his quarterback? I mean, is this over in 3 years? What was he last year? He was 8-9. They probably take a big step back this year. I think this is going real bad in Denver.
All right, I've got the shirt.
Yeah. Yes, when you said homemade, you were.
Yeah, although it seems to be a blank white Broncos jersey.
Yes, this is. I would actually bet that not all these quarterbacks are even spelled correctly.
Yeah,
that's how janky this looks.
Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler, Case Keenum, some blank Allen, Flacco, Jeff Driscoll, Brett Rippon, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, Russell Wilson, and there's a name on his
Must
right.
Be Kyle Allen, right?
Is that which Allen it was?
Kyle Allen or Brandon Allen?
One
Brandon
of those
Allen.
two.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And there's another name on his right sleeve that's crossed out. I can't read.
it's
Oh, that's
Kendall-
Shane Hinton. Oh, Kendall Hinton, right?
Kendall Hinton.
The wide receiver that played quarterback for a day.
Yeah, because they wouldn't let the offensive coordinator's assistant play. Whatever. You're right, though, Perloff. I've always thought there was a little of this Sean Payton thing that seemed a little doomed from the beginning. And
he's dead there.
Well, it was not exactly, this love at first sight situation, right?
No, right. What was it, third team he interviewed with? He interviewed with them, then he went off and different teams, then he came back.
And they started interviewing like Jim Harbaugh.
They wanted Ryans. Did they want D'Amico Ryans as well?
D'Amico. I mean, I think Dan Quinn got in the mix a little bit, but he probably would have taken the job. It was like, and then Sean Payton was like, "No, I really love playing golf, and I want to go somewhere where I can play golf. And by the way, I love being in the media. And by the way, I'm going to the Cardinals to talk to them."
Yeah,
it was just kind of odd.
Who is their quarterback next year? Is there any reporting or any indication? At 11, you're getting the fourth quarterback, fifth quarterback in the draft.
And does Sean Payton really want to start with a rookie? He might have to because all that dead cap money. I don't know who they can afford.
It just doesn't feel like they have a plan, which would concern me if I was, following the Broncos or rooting for the Broncos. Like, Payton came in, it's very clear he never really wanted Russ, which is fine. Like, Russ was terrible the year before, and he was okay this year. But, like, it just – the best plan is we're going to cut him and waste $80 million in cap space. That you can't have there's got to be a better plan than this.
It seems like he's really good at making fun of the last several quarterbacks,
but picking the next one.
Who is that ninth guy on the T-shirt? I feel like that T-shirt is just like, I hope he left room for whoever's
There is no
next.
room. He's onto the sleeves.
Is there definitely no room?
No, he had to go onto the sleeves.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be one more name because does anybody expect him to have a good quarterback play next year?
I like how this guy is chugging a beer, though, in the photo. You're going to need a few more of those to ease the pain.
Yeah, he's a middle light guy, looks like.
I mean, should they give 11 for Justin Fields?
I mean, Sean Payton wants to recreate Drew Brees.
But he also loved Taysom Hill, though.
Yeah, but I feel like that experiment kind of failed. So I think they want.
It took him a long time to realize it was going to fail, though.
Yeah,
right.
But Justin Fields is the exact opposite of Drew Brees. Justin Fields does not have any interest in timing patterns. He wants to hold on to the ball.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just at this point, you're just throwing anything out there because what's the other option?
Well, you're
There's
right.
no like fun, sexy backup quarterback people are dying to get their hands on.
Fields fits on a sleeve too. It's a short last name.
Short last name.
You know who I think I would target if I was them? It's not sexy, but I think it could be interesting. I think I would go after Sam Howell. That would be the guy. Now I don't.
But you have Jarrett Stidham. What's the difference?
He's better than Jarrett Stidham.
Howell did have a lot of yards. I don't know. It feels like a big risk. I hear what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense because he is short like Drew Brees.
Right, short. He's someone who can rack up some yards. Like, I mean, I would get him and maybe let those guys duel it out. He doesn't have a big cap number, so I think a trade probably would be doable. It's not going to be something crazy.
I mean,
That's
look
the
at the
problem. They
AFC
can't
West.
take any money on.
Look at the AFC West. You got Mahomes and Herbert / Harbaugh. I don't know. Sam
They're
Howell
doomed.
feels like
I'm not saying that they have a good option, but I'm saying that I think he might be their best reasonable option.
So they picked 12, Denver, and how many quarterback needy teams are in front of them right now before even any trades have been made?
At least
Obviously,
4, right?
Chicago, Washington, New England. Can I give you the New York Giants in there? The way they've been talking. And how about
Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Well, Atlanta might take Justin Fields, but yes,
But
it could be
as a-
Atlanta or Minnesota, who's right in front of them. This is tough.
They're in trouble.
And I don't think they have any. Do they have any cap or draft picks to really be able to move up either?
No, that's another problem. they're not in a good position.
And even so, they'd have to move up to get a guaranteed hit. They'd have to move up to 1, 2, or 3, and even that, who knows? Yeah, this is tough. But Peyton did have a good line at the combine, so that's worth
Humorous
something.
meme.
Yeah, it feels like everybody.
Saw a humorous meme the other day.
The fact that he said meme right, I think everyone's like, "Whoa, okay, maybe Sean Payton's closer to Sean McVay than we thought."
You think call it a meme?
Did everybody come away? I feel like Sean Payton kind of won the day yesterday with that little line, right?
But
That
Sean
was
Payton's-
impressive.
Sean Payton's media time, I think, did him well for yesterday. Like he definitely was schmoozing it, and because he's gotten a lot of heat for how that thing ended with Russell Wilson, and especially the end of the season. He was able to kind of like make you forget about that and kind of like him a little bit with some of the stuff he was saying, even though he's like, yeah, we're a punchline, and we're hoping maybe the next quarterback isn't another punchline, but we don't know.
How did the media training help him when he said he spilled on everything in Denver because he had too much coffee?
Oh yeah, this I think helped him yesterday. Did not help him preseason or during the
The
season.
latte defense, my favorite.
I saw their third lowest in Super Bowl odds. Carolina's the lowest, then Arizona, then Denver. That's not good.
They're
And do they have the worst outlook of all those teams? Because they don't have a quarterback.
Well, I think the Panthers are still pretty bad.
No, I know, and I think Bryce Young is.
Yeah, I hear what you're
but
saying.
at least they've got a plan.
I think, and Arizona with Kyler Murray doesn't seem great either.
No, at least it's fun.
The plan, I think, might be just to tank for a quarterback next season. Like, that's just...
A local kid, perhaps? Maybe Shedeur Sanders?
I think it's very possible.
Because he's Drew Brees.
He's got
he's supercharged Taysom Hill.
Oh, no, Shedeur likes the pocket. He's all right.
All right.
I've never seen Drew Brees do a little watch celebration after throwing a touchdown.
He could have, because he took every dollar.
How does Drew Brees looking French braids?
Drew Brees, if you paid him, he would do that watch celebration.
He would do anything for a buck.
Let's do some college basketball. Those top-ranked Houston Cougars now on a 6-game win streak thanks to L.J. Cryer.
Here's Jamal Shed, 14:27 to go. Shed, left corner, Cryer, catch and shoot three. Got it! L.J. Cryer's got 20!
That's from Learfield. Now, I know Cryer used to play at Baylor, but I don't know what L.J. stands for. So Perloff, as a Cougar super fan, what does L.J. stand for?
Larry Johnson.
No.
You said that so confidently.
I watched a minute of this game last night. I said, I got to get to know my Cougars. I got so bored, I turned it away immediately.
Yeah. So not Lionel Jr.?
Is that what it is?
Yeah. He's Lionel Jr. So that
okay, there you go. Now I know that. I will share that at a cocktail party this weekend. Thank you, Andrew.
You're going to a Cougars-themed cocktail party?
Maybe.
Maggie and I have done that before. Tillman Fertitta's apartment.
It's honestly the fanciest part I've ever been to.
Yeah, if we had known LJ's name, we would be in good shape.
They gave away an obscene, or they auctioned off. Well, okay.
They had
a lot of NIL money was.
They had great sashimi. All you could eat. Maggie and I boxed out everybody there.
It was chicken. If I knew it was chicken, I would have walked out.
Mattress Mac was giving a big speech, and Maggie and I were not there. But like, now we can just go hog wild at the sushi table. No one will notice.
I know. I would have taken my slippers, my custom slippers, and walked out of there because you can't have heels on Tillman Fertitta's indoor court.
So
high heels.
You've got slippers waiting for you?
There's a bag of slippers right by the court, the entrance to the court, with a security guard there to make sure that women, and maybe men who are wearing whatever kind of shoes, but women who are wearing high heels, you cannot wear them on the court. I still have the slippers. They're super comfortable. I
need to be rich. Or be a dog, because there's a huge now dog area in this building that they are taking better care of dogs who are visiting for 3 hours today than the humans who are here always.
Yeah, there's definitely like a pee-pee area out there. This is in our office, by the way.
I'm also confused that some of these dogs seem to be owned by some of the people here.
Oh, yeah, they're all bring your dog to work day.
Oh, okay.
For one show.
But none of us have dogs. Oh, well, no, EJ has your dog.
Yeah, Lita. Yeah, Lita, she might have done well here. She wants smoke with other dogs, so that might have been a problem.
Oh, boy.
She would have been as small as here, though, so that would have been interesting, but...
Bogusch, you guys got a dog?
Oh, we do not. My wife is deathly allergic, so I'm probably going to have to strip down in the garage when I get home after petting dogs all morning.
Oh, wow.
Or run the risk of losing a wife. I don't know. I'll decide by 2:30 this afternoon.
Here comes Fido.
Yeah,
who's the good one?
We'll see how she treats me today.
Bogusch, thank you so much. 855-212-4CBS. Coming up, we've got the answer to who is starting at quarterback for these certain teams week 1. We're calling our shot. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. All right. Got teams that need quarterbacks, Perloff. We're going to play a little matchmaker right here, right now.
Hit me.
Let's start it off. Or EJ, you going to throw these out to us? I'll start off.
I'll get it. Let's go.
What'd you do? What'd you get for breakfast?
Eating a bagel with butter and jelly.
There you go.
So, excuse the
listen.
mouthful here, but let's do this.
You got to play through.
Yeah. So let's start. Who starts week 1? Let's start with the Las Vegas Raiders. Where do they go?
Oh, you got the Raiders first. I was hoping you were going to Atlanta.
Oh, no. Atlanta's going to be the easy one. No, to me, this is draft. This is going to be a rookie. I think it's going to be possibly a Bo Nix, a J.J. McCarthy. Do I have to pick one?
Yeah, this is not a... You have 2 quarterbacks. You got no quarterbacks. Let's do one.
I'm going to do Bo Nix. 13th overall, Bo Nix. I think Pennix is probably going to be gone at this point.
That's funny. I would have gone, I agree with you, rookie. I would have gone Pennix because they have Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
And for me, you need a guy who can throw the ball downfield. Bo Nix is more of an underneath accurate guy. He could also throw a ball downfield. And J.J. McCarthy, I think he's going to link up with someone he knows, one of the Harbaugh family.
Sure.
So I think I agree with you, rookie. Because they have to, right? What's the point of bringing in an expensive veteran with this team? I go Pennix, you go Nix?
Okay. Perloff says Pennix, I say Nix.
Okay, let's go to the team Perloff wanted us to start with, the Atlanta Falcons. Who starts there week 1?
Let's follow the odds. Justin Fields, baby. Running downfield. Is he going to go with Bijan? Is Fields going to throw downfield to Drake London? Oh, it's going to be so exciting. Get ready. 9-8, win the NFC South. Let's go.
Okay, well, when I did this exercise yesterday on the back of the paper, I said Kirk Cousins, but today I'm going to say Fields because I think Ryan Poles is kind of telling you there's a reporting out there already that the Falcons already reached out, so I'm going to also go with Perloff and say Fields.
Let's go to Foxborough. What's New England doing? Who starts there week 1?
I think it's Drake May. I think that Jaden Daniels is going to end up going 2 overall, so I don't want to blow a future team we're going to talk about, but I think Daniels ends up moving up to 2, so it'll be Drake May 3, and the Patriots go with Drake May.
I'm going to shock you right now. I think it's Mac McKenzie Jones. So Alex Van Pelt, I think, is the new coordinator. He's a guy who worked with my friend Andy Dalton. I'm not sure that the Patriots think a rookie quarterback's a great idea right now because they don't want to be the new Panthers who had Bryce Young and didn't have anything around to support him. So if they're the third quarterback, whoever it is, I'm not sure that guy's going to hit. And even though they said they were going to draft a quarterback, I think they'll be tempted by other positions or trade down maybe the 6th with the New York Giants and then get a quarterback later, a second rounder or a third rounder. There is actually some depth in the quarterback class, and either stick with Mac Jones or go with a veteran.
The Patriots will tell themselves the lie that every team says. We're never going to be picking this high again. We got to go quarterback, and that's why I think May. Okay, move on.
That audible groan, by the way, you heard it from all of New England when Perloff said Mac Jones is going to be back. Okay, so week 1 starter for the Washington Commanders.
Well, I just gave it away. I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels.
I'd like to. I have to agree. This May Daniels thing is the new Ryan Leaf Peyton Manning, except it's 2-3.
Except it's the second pick, not the first.
I just think the game tape of Jaden Daniels is so much better than the game tape of Drake May. And he's, I heard this argument the other day that Jaden Daniels did against bad teams. The dude torched Alabama. So this makes more sense to me. And I feel like Washington, what they're trying to build with Josh Harris, more exciting. Drake May is a little more on the efficient side. I feel like Jaden Daniels is exciting. Get some seats in the butts, as they butts in the seat. Well, either way, that would be
a real magic trick.
Tony Schiavone's rolling over his grave.
I'm sorry, I'd like to say something different, but your logic's right on.
All right, who's our last one?
All right, last one here. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Who starts week 1?
I think this is Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett is going to be starting week 1. I know the Steelers want a sexier name. What do you want? Russell Wilson? Kirk Cousins? I think it's going to be Pickett. I think they want it. They still want to believe they were right on Pickett.
Okay, I will differ a little bit here. Yesterday I would have said Pickett, and now I'm leaning Russell Wilson because they said the timing of the deal will be really fast. What did Denver say, within 2 weeks?
Yep.
So I think Pittsburgh, the DraftKings odds are moving really heavily towards Russell Wilson. I'll go with that. I just think that Kenny Pickett, there's no excitement. He screwed me last year with my Super Bowl pick, and I'll never go back.
Okay, we're actually going to put those predictions under glass. We're making them official today. We're going to put them under glass, and they'll be here in the studio to forever remind us of our picks.
Wow.
No going back now. Coming up, it's Wednesday at this time, which means we do the Great Debate Series. What is today's topic? Stick around and find out. Back in a moment. said he wants to do right by Justin Fields if they trade the fourth-year quarterback to another team. And while I appreciate the sentiment, if I'm a Bears fan, I want my GM getting the best deal possible, not be concerned about whether Fields gets a comfortable.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Every Wednesday at this time, we do something called the Great Debate Series. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, loosely inspired by the news.
So this week's news, this one's really loose, by the way, but I still really like it.
I like it too. So this week's loosely based on the news is the fact that Anthony Kim is attempting to make a comeback as a professional golfer. So it got us thinking about the greatest comeback from retirements of all time. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
again, loosely based. I'm sorry, when we say some of these names, to me, Anthony Kim is not in the conversation.
No.
Just like Matthew Slater and Jackie Slater wasn't quite the Mannings last week.
Right, when we said the greatest father-son duos of sports. Okay, it's loosely
like it,
based
though.
on the news.
I like it.
So Anthony Kim retired from professional golf, and now he's coming back. We're talking about the greatest comebacks of all time. And you had to be retired, okay? Or at least you had to say you were retired. This couldn't be, I came back from injury, or I just, I don't know what other kind of comeback there was.
There's a secondary bit here where you guys say what the topic is, and then the rest of us have to guess how you got to the topic.
Yeah. Should I have not given it away?
I might have gotten Anthony Kim, but would the entire audience have gotten that?
Definitely
I don't know.
not.
You guys were really excited about Anthony Kim earlier
I'm
this
just
week.
a salesman, Perloff.
To the point where I wondered, was I missing something on Anthony Kim? So he was really popular. I kind of missed that story.
He was mad cool.
Yeah, I think people
Anthony
like
Kim?
Mad cool.
Super.
Really? He was like
one
Tiger
of the few
Light?
golfers I actually wanted to follow and hope that he did well. Like,
Had big belt buckles, right? He had cool belts.
Yeah.
Mm.
That was one of his things.
I don't know.
Yeah,
What year was like 2013, 2012? I
No,
just get
further
than that. Yeah.
Oh, I just
was
wasn't.
in high school, I think.
Yeah, I remember him being a thing, but I don't remember him being that big a thing. But
He's
anyway.
also in my favorite Tiger Woods commercial. Him and then a bunch of other guys, where it's the one where Tiger comes back after the ACL injury.
Yeah.
And like it's basically all the Nike golfers celebrating all the wins they're having, and they're on beaches, they're going on all these lavish trips, and then like at the end of it, they're in a clubhouse and Tiger Woods walks in, and then the mood just totally changes. They're like, "Oh, hey Tiger."
I'm sorry, I forgot about our imaging. Let's play it.
The Great Debate Series.
Need to give this segment the formality that it deserves. So again, these are the greatest comebacks from retirement of all time. Perloff, begin.
Okay. I'm going to the world of boxing where the great comebacks all exist. I mean, Muhammad Ali, of course. The comeback, the rules are a little different because I don't know if you do coming back from what happened with him in the Vietnam and the draft. Sugar Ray Leonard came back about 1 million times. It was awesome. But to me, the ultimate comeback is George Foreman. Not only because I recently saw the movie about his life on a plane. Look at the numbers. Dude retired in 1977 and came back 10 years later, much, much bigger in 87 because he needed money. And then at age 45, he came back at 38. At 45, won the title, beat Michael Moorer. This is the craziest comeback of all time because he did not look like he was ready to fight. Remember when he came back, he was gigantic. And he was really, really good. He almost beat Holyfield. And then eventually, he never moved to start. If you look at the old Ali fight, the guy never was jumping around the ring anyway. He's like me. He never had athleticism, so he had nothing to lose, just pure raw strength. And he was a great...
Yes, just like you.
He was a great fighter in his 40s, and it was an inspiration to older athletes like myself. Not only that, the dude got a grill and sort of and helped out dorm rooms across America and made millions of dollars. It is the most... if you told anybody... If I've watched a lot of documentaries on that era of boxing, if you said anybody in 1975 that George Foreman, 30 years later or 20 years later, was going to win a title and have one of the most popular kitchen products in America, people would say you're totally crazy. He went from this forlorn, weird dude in the 70s to America's sweetheart, and that's why, to me, the whole package makes him the greatest comeback in sports history.
Yeah, I mean, he was angry. He was depressed after losing the Rumble in the Jungle. There's a lot there. We're talking about the greatest comebacks out of retirement of all time. The only thing is boxers retire after every fight.
Yeah, that's true.
So I couldn't pick a boxer here.
That is a fact. Boxers do like to retire. Yeah, if you got beat up for 12 rounds, wouldn't you want to retire?
I would. No Mas. That would be me. That would be my nickname. Maggie No Mas Gray. For me, the greatest comeback out of retirement is the most decorated Olympian of all time, and that's Michael Phelps. Let me paint a picture for you. Michael Phelps has 18 gold medals, 22 overall medals, had just competed in 4 straight Olympic Games, and said to the world, quote, "I'm done, I'm finished, I'm retired, I'm done, no more. I just want to be done with swimming, and I didn't want anything to do with the sport anymore." That's not just, hey, I'm going to do something else with my life. That is, I do not want to be associated with the sport anymore. I'm burnt out. Went on to get to some really dark times. Had a DUI, contemplated suicide. I mean, things got really desperate for Michael Phelps. And then he decided to not only become an advocate for therapy and other things, but to start a comeback. But why? Not for Olympic glory, not to prove anything to the sponsors, not to prove anything to the fans. He said, I'm coming back for me. I'm going to swim for myself now. I've been swimming for everyone else. I'm going to swim for myself. What happened? Rio Olympics. 5 more gold medals. The final tally, 23 gold medals, 28 overall. The most decorated Olympian of all time, as I mentioned. He came back. He was 31 years old. He was married with a kid. Totally different dude. Michael Phelps, for the demons he slayed outside of the pool, for how the comeback was successful. Greatest comeback out of retirement of all time. EJ.
Well, as great as Michael Phelps were and as great as George Foreman was as well, none of these guys have Jay-Z lyrics named after them, okay, for their comeback. Nobody has, when I come back, like Jordan wearing the 4-5, which is why Michael Jordan is the greatest comeback from retirement. This is what it sounds like when he had his first game-winning shot out of retirement.
The inbounds to Michael, racing the clock. Jordan for the win. Yes! He did it again! He is now back! Holy mackerel! Michael Jordan rings a 2 and the Bulls win.
Michael Jordan comes back wearing the 4-5, double nickel against the Knicks, game winner against the Hawks, which you heard right there. Playoffs didn't go so great. They did lose to the Magic, got upset in the second round of the playoffs. But after that, 3 more championships, the game-winning shot at the end of Game 6 of the 98 finals. 3-peat is why we're still talking about LeBron and GOAT conversations. Last Dance did a whole thing on this as well. When he left, not only did he leave the sport, as Maggie was talking about with Michael Phelps, he did a different sport. He went and said, hey, I'm going to go play baseball and see how this thing goes. Didn't go that great there. Was able to come back and once again reclaim his dominance. I don't think this is close. Michael Jordan, by far, the greatest comeback from retirement.
How'd the second retirement go?
That one we forget about. Though I think that he gets too much crap for the Wizards years. He was
did score
really
20 points a game when he was totally out of shape.
All right, he's out of shape, and that team was terrible, and like he had them in somewhat playoff contention. He was fine with the Wizards. That wasn't so bad. But the first one, definitely.
Do you believe? And we'll get into this.
I'm putting my hand up.
I say, do you believe he actually retired?
I don't.
Or that he was forced to leave the sport is one of the great conspiracy theories.
Good try, though, EJ.
That a lot of people have debunked, but yes, it's still out there.
I think he retired.
It was the death of his father.
Yeah.
It was
because I don't think a season-long suspension
gambling.
makes any. I feel like whatever the suspicion is of what he did, it wouldn't match a season-long suspension.
Oh.
You don't think if he was in trouble gambling, he wouldn't get a season-long
If
or a
he's not gambling
random
on basketball, then no.
Well, back then.
That's the big question. But let's move on. The great debate series for today, obviously, that's a great one. The greatest comeback out of retirement of all time, Andrew Bogusch.
Well, I wanted to go back to my Soviet hockey here, but you don't come back from that retirement in Soviet hockey, so we'll just do North American hockey. Mario Lemieux retired after the 96-97 season, back issues, cancer, went immediately into the Hockey Hall of Fame, became part owner of the Penguins, and then said, you know what, I want to come back. And he came back, he played well, rescued the Penguins. If he doesn't come back, there probably isn't a Pittsburgh Penguins team anymore. They're playing somewhere else. We don't have Mario back again. We never have Crosby and Malkin and Marc-Andre Fleury. So Mario Lemieux, one of the greatest ever, is gone for 3+ seasons, comes back, is still an elite all-time player, and saves a franchise and a city.
And we've got some sound from that.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux.
Mario Lemieux, his first goal in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog. Mario Lemieux.
Great call. All right, Pete, who do you have? Greatest comeback out of retirement of all time?
Well, my individual starts with this call.
In their 63rd season. It's happened! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
Yes, the greatest comeback ever is Bruce Bochy from retirement.
Wow.
2019, he retires. A sport that's changing.
That's true.
A sport that's changing in terms of analytics and everything to do with it. And he comes back, comes off his couch into the dugout for a team that was okay coming into the season and wins the World Series right away. Bruce Bochy is the best comeback story from retirement.
There you have it. Listen, I like it.
I don't.
I love it.
I don't care.
for the
I think
same
it's
reason you
great.
dislike it. I love it.
I just think coaches.
It is a different game now.
Coaches, I mean, there's probably a few coaches you could look at. It's a little different because they don't have to get in physical shape to return. So could that be the argument against Bochy? Yeah, it's incredible that he did that, but you're a coach, so you don't have to get your body back. I think that's the only argument against
Okay, you come off the couch and go manage the team, manage the Texas Rangers to a world championship.
Definitely get a pay raise if I get to do
Well,
that.
listen, it went terribly for Tony La Russa, so it's not like
That's
everyone can do it.
Do I have to wear those see-through pants?
Yes. Yes.
You know
It's
who's
the only
going
way
to come
they're
back?
getting ya.
Dick Vermeil was 16 years away and came back and won a
That's
Super
right,
Bowl.
with his tears, too.
Yeah. Parcells? Did Parcells retire and come back? I think he did. I don't know
Several
if it worked.
times.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so there you have it. Great debate series. We're talking about the greatest comeback from retirement of all time. Perloff says George Foreman winning the title at 45. We have audio of the things that Perloff and I said too. Should we just play those? Because EJ spent so much time looking them up.
Great right hand landing for Foreman. He's had a pretty good round here at number 10.
Again, Atlas didn't count the Atlas. Here we go again with the Atlas. Michael Moore is down.
Down goes Moore on a right hand. An unbelievably close-in right hand shot.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It happened. It happened.
I can't believe it.
The crowd deafening here. The mighty Michael Phelps.
The champion is leading. He's had a very big campaign. Carrera is throwing everything at him, but Phelps is increasing the lead, increasing the stroke rate.
There has never been a better swimmer. The most decorated swimmer is miles ahead. Michael Phelps. Extraordinary yet again.
And that was my pick. Michael Phelps comes back for the Rio Olympics. So Perloff had George Foreman. I had Michael Phelps. EJ went with Michael Jordan. Bogusch went with Mario Lemieux. And Pete Pilati went with Bruce Bochy.
Can I have a bone to pick with the Michael Phelps pick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why, hold on. Why are you laughing
Okay, maybe not.
at that? Why are you laughing at that?
He had to learn
won a World
analytics
Series.
again.
He won a World Series with the Texas Rangers.
So, okay, if I can have the floor.
No, you can't.
Wait.
That's ridiculous.
You asked him a question.
He's laughing whatsoever. Not like I picked someone that played board games.
So Andrew
He kind of did, though.
You know what?
Andrew Kaplan, who's back today, and we're thrilled to have him back.
What does he want?
Although Rami did a great job. Pete had two things. He said, I wonder which wrestler Pete's going to pick, was number one. And then two, didn't Dusty Baker just did this with the Astros, so he's not as impressed? That's Kaplan. I'm going to back away.
I think it's the reason. It's the physicality of Bochy. He's like was an old man when he won with the last team, and he's an old man. He comes back. It's like the La Russa. We've talked about La Russa and Jack. Like I don't know. It's just different because they're not players. That's the big difference.
If you are doing the athlete thing, I think that wrestlers should be on the conversation because what those guys put through their body to come back and take that punishment, like Shawn Michaels basically had a broken dead back.
Yeah.
Came back and wrestled for
and a
5-6
horrible
years.
substance abuse problem.
Yes, and substance abuse issues, and came back and it was amazing, maybe even better than he was before.
The only thing about wrestling is, first of all, everyone comes back. It's not rare, right? And also, I never tell what's a work.
I think was the difference is like with Shawn, for example. He retired, and yes, everybody comes back, but he came back was a full-time worker. This wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna do a one-off WrestleMania match to get the
Undertaker once a year, whatever.
Right, or whatever. This was like, hey, not only my back, like I'm wrestling every week. Like I'm wrestling the young guys on the roster. Like what Shawn did was a little different, especially considering the issues he had. We're lucky he's still alive.
Yeah,
quite
that's
frankly.
true. Greatest comebacks from retirement, Bogusch. Not please.
This has made my day. First the dogs, and now I think Pete using Bruce Bochy for the second time in like 7 weeks of this segment. He was your best second act as a manager,
I don't care.
too.
I'll use wrestlers, tennis players, golfers, anybody. I will make my point
for 3.5 years and
point.
the game changed. Like in 2019, Rafael Santana was still hitting 208 and batting 8th and playing shortstop for the Mets. We were pretty good into analytics in 19.
Right,
Bruce Bochy didn't miss a lot in 4 years.
You would do it, all right?
Listen, someone updated Excel. It's a different Excel now.
Hey, we did go from American League to National League.
Yeah, and to Google Sheets, that threw him off.
I know, but there's not a DH. There's a DH in both leagues.
Right. If you think Bruce Bochy can use Excel, you're out of your mind. He can barely use email.
I don't know. What's your problem with Michael Phelps? That's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Phelps' story is fantastic. It's nothing against his story. But when you retire, that was from Perloff.
The story is amazing.
But when you retire from Olympics, if we're going to make fun of the boxing retirements, you got 4 years to figure out if you really want to do another Olympics.
He didn't miss another Olympics.
Right.
That's the continuity.
You retire and you say, I'm not doing this anymore. And you could literally not swim for 2 years and still be ready to go for the next Olympics. Like, he didn't really leave anything important to us. Like, did he leave maybe a world championships that we don't watch? Maybe. But, like, for us, it's like he never left.
That's well said. That's my issue is that he didn't miss one. Simone Biles is going to be a great comeback in a sense if she wins this year, but she still didn't miss an Olympics.
I don't know, and he had real issues. So I'm not saying that he wasn't really seriously done with the sport. But when someone in boxing or in Olympics, I think they're kind of the same. Like when they say they're retiring, I'm like, all right, call me in 2 years and let's see where you're at. Like you put your body through immense amounts of punishment to get ready for a certain fight or get ready for an Olympic run.
Right.
It's grueling. And yeah, you're probably done with it. You don't want to do it anymore. But guess what? Like boxers can not box for 3 years and come back.
Okay,
It'll be fine.
but that's just basically though.
There's no seasons.
I know, but there is for them. We just may not pay attention to it as the public. There's still world championships and they are still swimming on a certain schedule that it's our fault we don't pay attention to it once but every 4 years. They're still in their sport competing. He actually got suspended because of the DUI where he ended up having to go and swim in a different place. Like I can't hold that against him because that happens to be the rhythm of the sport. Just because there's not Olympics every year doesn't mean he's not a great story. And again, we're talking about the greatest comebacks out of retirement of all time.
Did anybody look at Joe Flacco as an option here this time around? I was at.
Did he retire or did the Jets try to retire him?
Yeah, that's the question. Like,
well,
did
Brett
this guy
Favre
retire?
was the same way, right? Because
Favre
he never
retired
actually
twice.
missed anything, though.
Well, in our call, I said we were talking about Tom Brady retired twice, Favre retired 3 times. Did he retire twice? Yeah. If you don't, that's the Phelps argument. I think it's. I understand what you're saying, Maggie, but I do think that if you're going to try and knock Phelps, it's because he didn't miss an Olympic.
Okay, but Brett Favre, for example, never missed a training camp. Like, did you really go away from the sport?
He showed up in mid-August in Jersey for the Jets, and that went
snaps
bad.
because he didn't know how to work with Nick Mangold and get that.
Yeah, I mean,
we know what he was doing when he was bored alone in that dorm room.
Yeah,
that did not
please.
go well.
Don't give Brett Favre your number. But and Jen Sturger never did. I think that you have to miss some time though, and for this to be all-time great comeback. Like Tom Brady was retired for 30 days.
No. He does not get in there. He does not get in there.
No, that doesn't count.
Anyway.
Yeah, but my guy was the longest, 10 years. Bochy was only 3 years.
He was like 4 seasons.
Yeah. Who was yours again, Bogusch?
Mario Lemieux.
How much time did he miss?
Like 3+ years.
I mean, he's got the Bogusch has the cancer on his side. That's a tough one.
On my side, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pro-cancer.
Come back from cancer. I think Mike and Bogusch.
Bruce Bochy had a cold once in 2021.
If we put this up as a poll, we all know who's winning.
Bochy. Whoa.
No, I mean, EJ's got Michael Jordan. I don't even know the category, and I'm voting Jordan on any poll.
But again, there are a lot of people who don't believe that retirement was on his own. Delta 9 in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio and twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio says Rick Ankiel. That was a good one. You come back from the yips, right? And came back playing a different position. You
Mental
became a
illness,
great outfielder.
Great book about his life. Yeah, that's a really good one.
I think cannon in an outfield, by the way.
I think that's important. I think
pitcher there.
Yeah.
Exactly. You really need to overcome adversity in this comeback. You can't just say, like Tom Brady, I'm going to retire, and then 30 days later say, I'm bored, I'm coming back.
Actually, psych, I'm back. 855-212-4CBS.
You should hear Pete's anti-Rick Ankiel take in my ear right now.
I mean, you want to get on me for Bochy? I mean, come on. Come on. Rick Ankiel came back. He was an okay outfielder.
Threw the ball in the stands.
I know
he was an okay outfielder. Come on.
But fine. The yips, he threw the ball in the stands. All right.
But were you really like with Bruce Bochy? Where I'm like, I can't believe he's back in baseball.
How did he do it?
How?
He won a championship. But so
did Dusty.
Dusty wanted a bunch of cheaters.
855-212-4CBS. The best comeback out of retirement. You hear what we had to say. What do you have to say? Also coming up, one team's doing it correctly. And what is it? We'll tell you next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, it's Wednesday here on the Maggie and Perloff Show, which means great sports debate. Today, we're talking about the greatest comeback in sports history, loosely based on Anthony Kim returning to the golf world. I went with George Foreman. Maggie went Michael Phelps. EJ went the great Michael Jordan. Bogusch went with, why do I keep forgetting who you went with?
Mario Lemieux.
Oh, right. And
the Bruce Bochy of hockey.
Pete Pilati took over the segment with Bruce Bochy, the manager who won with the Rangers. So give us a call at 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227 with your greatest comeback in sports history. First, we have some gifts, Maggie, which we love. We love gifts.
So this comes from, I'm glad we're all in here together and Bogusch is here for the updates. So we had a conversation because the George Mason
Patriots.
The Patriots, thank you. They beat Dayton, and this is the first time they'd beat a ranked opponent on their home floor. Now, this is long before the court storming conversation went to a very dark place with Kyle Filipowski from Duke. But in happier times, 3 weeks ago, this was a really great story. And
this was actually last Wednesday, Maggie. It was roughly 72 hours before.
What?
Yeah.
This was last Wednesday?
Things move fast.
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Last Wednesday, the George Mason Patriots had an unbelievable win over the Dayton Flyers. Perloff, they stormed the court.
I'm with you. It feels like it was a long time ago.
They happened to storm the court on Floppy Hat Night.
Oh, right.
And the call is legendary. They're storming the court. It's Floppy Hat Night. We thought, what's the least intimidating piece of clothing you could be wearing storming the court is a floppy hat. Turns out it was a bucket. It was a bucket hat, which has become really popular. So I got a great text message from a friend of mine named Tim, who lives in my hometown of Binghamton, New York, and does some Binghamton University basketball games.
Hats all over the place.
Floppy Hat Night. Yes. So Tim said, hey, I have a friend who works for the Erie Seawolves as the minor league team, the AA affiliate of the Detroit Tigers in Erie, Pennsylvania, and said, hey, they have some bucket hats and they'd love to send you guys some because also Bogusch was looking to get his own George Mason floppy hat because George Mason's coming to play Fordham this week.
And that happened last night, actually.
Where's your hat?
It's a fair question, but I'll have an update later.
Then you were not offering to get enough for the whole class. So we're like, well, Bogusch can't wear one. Anyway, so Greg was good enough to send us a whole box of floppy hats, of bucket hats from the Erie Seawolves, and they arrived today, and they look incredible. Now, little did I know, there was a lot more to the story about these bucket hats for the Erie Seawolves, and this is actually a very nice but really sad story. So in 2019, the Erie Seawolves had a player named Chase Numata, who tragically passed away in a horrific skateboarding accident in Erie. You may remember this. The accident occurred before the team's last series of the season, and he passed away during the final game of the season. This is a really tragic story that you may remember when a minor league player was killed in a skateboarding accident. So they were going to honor him in 2020, but everything was canceled due to COVID. So the stars aligned, according to Greg, where they were able to get his family back to Erie on August 14th, which is Chase's birthday, to have a special tribute night. Now, Chase was from Hawaii, so the team wore jerseys with Hawaiian print, and they gave away these bucket hats to fans. All the proceeds from the on-field jersey auction that night benefited the newly established Chase Numata Scholarship, which awards college-bound varsity baseball and softball players with scholarships. So not only do we get blessed with these very cool hats, they also are for an amazing cause. And I think now the next time we do one of our classic giveaways, Perloff, when we do funny things on YouTube, get subscribers and give away money, we've been giving it to the Boys and Girls Club, and it's been a great and successful partnership. I would like to amend that. I think that we should now be giving it to the Chase Numata Scholarship. So for our next weird, crazy thing we do, which is going to be coming up soon, I think this is our new cause.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah.
So let's pass out the bucket hats. And again, thank you to Greg, who heard us. And just by the crazy stars aligning, we happen to know somebody in common. And we all get Erie Seawolves bucket hats.
So cool.
How about that? All right.
I feel like it also should confirm that, we now have a AA affiliate team. I know there was some conversation about whether or not we should all jump on the bandwagon. I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm completely all in on the Erie Seawolves.
And
they're actually real
Tigers.
animals, we learned, too. So
yeah, right.
now I'm definitely all in.
There you go. So you guys want to come in and get your hats?
Yeah.
We've got a lot of them over here. This is awesome. So, Greg, thank you if you're listening. We appreciate this so much, and also for an amazing story behind it. So we're proud to be associated with it.
On a lighter note, the George Mason Patriots were in the Bronx last night.
Oh, yeah. Give us the update.
Now, the headline is Fordham beat George Mason, which means I think that's the transitive property. Fordham would beat Dayton since George Mason beat Dayton, and Dayton's a top 20 team. However, Fordham did lose to Dayton recently, so the math goes out the window.
You want a quad one win off of that?
Don't
I
get me
thought
started on
Fordham
that.
was terrible.
Incorrect.
But I thought they couldn't score.
They've had some issues. Last night, this game was 19-18 at halftime.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're really...
it did end 61-60. Fordham won last night. The problem with the bucket hats, and I am not handing out blame because the blame could absolutely be on my antiquated AOL email address, but I began the process of connecting with George Mason last Friday, which I thought was plenty of time. I didn't hear back from George Mason until Monday when they were already in New York to play this game last night. So there are no George Mason bucket hats at the moment.
Would you like one of ours?
I already do
Okay.
have one. Thank you very much.
All right. So here we are. Apparently, they still sell these every time they do a giveaway in the team store. The line is around the block to be the first 1,000 people getting in the gates for these.
These are legitimate hats.
Cool.
They're not
These are
like
awesome.
the old school kind of cheap giveaways. These are legitimate bucket hats.
I know.
It's like, I know not free advertising, but I love 47 brand, and these are 47 brand hats. A lot of my sweatshirts and T-shirts are from them, so this is legit. This is awesome. I'm really excited about this.
Love it. All right. So we're all Seawolves fans.
The only bad news is Bruce Bochy's head is too big for this, so he wouldn't be able to get
Send
one
one
of
to
these.
Bruce Bochy.
Would it be harder or easier for Bruce Bochy to lead the Seawolves to a minor league AA championship?
It'd be harder.
Well, the analytics of the game have changed a lot over the last 6 months.
Especially in AA.
I want to get photos of Bruce Bochy at the end of his time with the Giants and with it looks exactly the same. You wouldn't know if I changed a hat, you would have no idea which one was which.
Okay, great. He's still world champion.
It's not George Foreman. It's not Michael Phelps.
George Foreman. He just came back into the ring for a payday. You said that. He needed
Then he
money.
had the
Then he made
grill.
a grill. Then he made more money.
Yeah.
Michael Phelps had to swim all those miles to get back in the pool. What did Bruce Bochy have to do?
Look, with Michael
Wake
Phelps, I won't take it away from Michael Phelps because you always add a +1 to an Olympian because of the corrupt IOC. So I will. I will give.
Interesting. I didn't know Pete had that take.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So there you go.
So the IOC is out to get Michael Phelps. You think?
No, the IOC, they're all corrupt. It's all, the whole thing is corrupt.
Huh.
I mean, it is
They're
corrupt.
not
That
wrong.
is true.
Yeah, no, he's right.
didn't connect the dots to Phelps.
Well,
but-
I thought we'd wait till July to get this take from Pete.
No, I'll give you a preview.
Great debate. Worst governing body: NCAA, IOC. It's a future debate. Okay, so we're talking about the greatest comeback out of retirement of all time. Bill is in California. He's got one for us. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Maggie. How are you guys? Was it Pete that said Bochy?
That's me.
You know, Pete, I'm a Bochy guy, but I gotta disagree. I don't think Bochy really retired. He just had to get out and not watch the franchise get tore down by Farhan and went to the Rangers. But you know, not a bad. But my pick is Ryan Sandberg, the Sandman. He retired and then came back in '96 and had two of the best seasons of his career. I know he didn't win a championship or anything, but I mean, got to take your hat off to the Sandman. I think he did a great job when he came back.
So wait, Bill, you sound old enough to remember Ryan Sandberg goes in Philly's lore. Is that the worst trade in the history of baseball, Ryan Sandberg for Ivan de Jesus?
Besides the sale of Babe Ruth, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you guys don't remember this? Philly's always talk about, they had Ryan Sandberg, and they were like, we need Ivan de Jesus, the veteran trade. A lot of you probably know this guy. It was the worst trade ever.
Wait,
We talk about it all the time.
Wait, Bill, you have a right to be offended here. Perloff said you sound like you're old enough to remember.
Well, he was talking about Sandberg.
Maggie, if you felt the way my body is because of what my wife puts me through cleaning up our farm, I do feel like I'm old.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for the phone call and a great one. Ryan Sandberg, we're talking about the greatest athletes coming out of retirement. I'm sorry, or coaches, anyone in sports coming out of retirement to have a.
I was assuming you guys don't know much about Ryan Sandberg.
I mean,
no, I remember. I know that story that he was a Philly and then he wasn't.
But we're talking about worst trades of all time. I mean, Babe Ruth is number one. He got traded for, the rights to No Net, the Broadway show?
Oh, yeah. That's a historically bad trade. But Sandberg makes like some of the bad trade lists, and the Phillies had him.
I mean, the Phillies went to the World Series in '83. If they had Sandberg, I mean, maybe they'd beat Baltimore.
They had one of the best trades too with the Phillies with Lenny Dykstra.
What?
When they traded for Lenny Dykstra and Roger McDowell, and they only gave up Juan Samuel, who was aging.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good deal for them too, and they went to the World Series.
Sandberg did he hit a home run in Game 6? I think he did, right?
Ryan Sandberg?
No, not Sandberg. Sorry, Dykstra. My bad.
Maggie knows Dykstra well. I don't know.
That World Series. I mean, he had a great year in Philly.
Yeah, but I mean, Lenny Dykstra, obviously, you're bringing a lot to the table with it.
No, I'm talking about just on the field. He was a MVP candidate. Right?
Next week's great debate. Worst MLB trades of all time. Take Babe Ruth off the table.
This is what we get for trying to give the Phillies any credit.
Worst of the best. Again, want to say a big thank you to Greg, who is the assistant GM and communications for the Erie Sea Wolves of the AA affiliate of the Detroit Tigers. Sent us these cool bucket hats in memory of Chase Numata, who was one of their players who was tragically killed in a skateboarding accident, and now this is our team. Bogusch, we were supposed to do an update here. Oh, my God.
It doesn't matter. It was the shot of the night in hoops, and maybe it'll be the shot of the season.
Cavs out of timeout. Strus into Mobley. Back to Max. Half-court shot. Good! Good! He hit it! Cavs win! This place is going crazy!
Tim Alcorn on Cavs Radio. Max Strus, a running 59-foot buzzer beater in Cleveland. His Cavs stunning the Mavs 121-119 after Dallas took the lead on a P.J. Washington dunk with 2.6 seconds left. Cleveland didn't have a timeout left, so Strus threw it in, got it back, and hit the ridiculous shot, all after he knocked down 4 threes in just 67 seconds earlier in the fourth to help the Cavs erase a 10-point hole. Less drama in Milwaukee as the Bucks stayed hot, a 3-game win streak after a 123-85 rout of the Hornets. They're now 6-7 under Doc Rivers.
I thought we were very physical. I thought our hands were active. Our deflections over the last 4 or 5 games have just skyrocketed. And, we talked about it, like, how don't we have a lot of deflections? We're not fast. We're long. So we should get our fingertips on a lot of balls, and that slows fast teams down.
38 points is the Bucs' largest win of the season.
Huh.
They must have came back from Cabo because they look awesome now.
Super annoying. It's killing our fun Doc Rivers segment.
Well, also, they played the Hornets, guys. They beat the Hornets every time this year by like 30.
Yeah,
Let's
but
pump
they
the
have
brakes,
played.
okay?
They have looked really good. They
were like
beat up
losing to
Sixers.
teams like the Hornets of late. Like they've looked terrible recently before this. Really after the All-Star break. It's
a function of the schedule.
It is unfortunate.
Perloff's Chiefs have reportedly told corner L'Jarius Sneed they'll use their franchise tag on him if necessary, but the team is also apparently open to trading him if they can't work out a long-term deal. And the Kansas City Royals have the first victory over Nike, Fanatics, and MLB over these shameful new unis like the rest of us. KC hated those smaller letters being used for last names on the back of jerseys, so they pushed hard to use their usual lettering, and they pushed hard enough to win. It took people to the Royals' second televised spring training game to notice the good lettering. The fine folks at UniWatch did their usual digging, including talking to the team to get the full story. Fanatics says the smaller letters and the simpler logos and patches are necessary because these new jerseys are lighter than past versions, so they couldn't handle the heavier duty fonts and patches and whatnot. This is the dumbest story, and it's never ending.
Well, I think the irony of this is that the least watched team in Major League Baseball is going to have the best looking uniform.
Mm-hmm.
The Royals are the ones who actually got the uniforms the way they want them. No
Honestly,
disrespect.
all 29 other fan bases, we should say shame on our ownership. The fact that they weren't paying attention enough, apparently, to say, hey, this is a problem. Our fans won't like this. And we don't want to wear them. Please change them. And all it took was that to be the change. Like, Steve Cohen, wake up, man.
Well,
what are you doing?
So the jerseys are so light that having someone's last name stitched on the back is gonna tear this thing at the seams.
Well, like the lettering, old school wise, was whatever the right textile language would be. So it was literally too heavy for the strength of these new jerseys. They had to downsize everything and thin them out and use less stitching, whatever. So you weren't having patches pulling down on the fabric of the sleeves and stuff.
What a disaster.
A disaster.
All right, it's the only thing baseball is good. Shohei and this is all it's got going. They can't fix this.
We are not accepting
They cannot
see-through
fix
pants.
this. If they fix this, then they might as well just go off to nowhere because nobody's going to care.
855-212-4CBS. If you would like to get in on our great debate series for today, which is the greatest come back from retirement of all time in sports. Again, also thank you to the Erie Seawolves who sent us these really awesome bucket hats. We appreciate it. Thank you, Greg. Okay, a lot more to do, including who is being shortchanged. Someone get the old screw job? We'll tell you next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Wednesday's great debate series. Today, the greatest comeback out of retirement of all time. Our pal Big Friendly's in California. Hey, Big Friendly, how you been?
How you doing, Maggie Malone, Perloff, Bogusch, EJ, the Body Bilotti? I've been good. How you guys doing?
Well, we're doing excellent. You got someone for our great debate series today.
Perloff was right. Perloff was right. The greatest comeback is Dick Vermeil. Mags Malone, he got the Rams to the throne. That's the greatest comeback. There's no debate.
You know what, Friendly? I mean, so Pete did Bruce Bochy,
Yep.
who retired, then came back and won a World Series.
Yeah, so Vermeil went from 82 to 97 as a broadcaster and came back in 97 and built a champion. That's a long time.
That's a long time to be away. I was going to say, so Pete said that Bruce Bochy should get it because in the 3 years he was away, or 4 years he was away, analytics really changed the game. I would say Dick Vermeil, the game probably changed a lot more between 1982 and 1997.
Yeah, but then Vermeil and Martz hit him with something they haven't seen before.
Yeah.
I think Vermeil learned something in that 15 years because the Rams innovated immediately. That was a great one.
The other thing, too, about Vermeil, Big Friendly, thank you so much. I'm going to put you on hold. EJ wants to talk to you for a sec. Not only did he have success in St. Louis, but those Kansas City seasons, there's a 1-13-3 season there and another 10-6 season.
Yeah. No, Vermeil had a great second act. Also, there's a movie that I always keep telling you to watch, Kurt Warner movie. He's played by Dennis Quaid. That's always pretty cool. And he's played by Greg Kinnear in the Unbreakable movie. So Dick Vermeil has made 2 big movie appearances. That's something, right?
Sure. Mike is in Eugene, Oregon. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing this morning?
We're fantastic. Who's your best comeback out of retirement?
Well, one that nobody talked about, and I grew up with him, is Muhammad Ali. He was out of boxing for almost 4 years due to being suspension from the draft. Then within 3 years, I think it was, he knocked out Foreman. I mean, he surprised everybody when he beat him for the championship. So I'm going to put, and then he went on a tear.
But we had a rule, you had to retire.
Yes, we all like Ali. We love Ali. Mike, we said, did Ali retire? He was really protesting the Vietnam War. And so maybe we're splitting hairs here because, of course, Ali is an all-time great comeback. But thank you for the phone call. Appreciate that.
Well, also, I mean, I think Ali did retire a couple times at the end.
Sure. He's a boxer. They all retire. Floyd Mayweather retired and came back.
I mean, Ali, in a sense, is I mean, there's a movie about it. His comeback is really incredible because he had the whole world against him, and he came back despite that. But he never wanted to walk away. He was just barred from fighting in all those states. So I think because of the rules of this debate, Ali does not qualify. Otherwise, he's a perfect, amazing candidate.
Okay, so keep them coming with the greatest return from retirement of all time. Perloff, this was something that was on your radar a lot, which is this new straw poll that comes out that ESPN does about the NBA MVP and the fact that Jayson Tatum is not in the top 4, I don't think. At this point, Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and is Giannis in the top 3?
Luka's very high up there.
But Jayson Tatum, the best player on the best team in the NBA, is not really in consideration.
So Draymond Green, who, obviously Draymond Green and I famously think alike. Yeah. He was like, what the heck is going on with this poll? I have a question. The best team in the league is the Boston Celtics right now. I don't think anyone's arguing with that. They're by far the number 1 team in the East, and I think that they're kind of a Vegas favorite to face the Nuggets in the finals. Jayson Tatum's their leader. Why isn't he an MVP candidate? Why do we not believe Jayson Tatum is at the same level as these other guys? I'm trying to figure out. I have some theories on why, because Draymond said we saw him lose in the finals.
Wait, we have the Draymond sound.
Yeah,
let's hear from Draymond Green. Says Jayson Tatum is not being taken seriously enough for MVP.
The goalpost has shifted dramatically because in this guy's case, he's 5th and they got a 7.5 game lead. That goalpost is moving on JT. I don't know what JT got to do. I do know what JT got to do. I told y'all last time what JT got to do. JT will not be taken serious for the MVP until he win a championship. And it just hasn't been that way for everybody else. I must say, it's not that way for Joker. It's not that way for Giannis. It's not that way for Joel. I mean, golly, that is brutal.
I think it's because Jayson Tatum it's his manner too. He's very low keyed. He's always been low keyed, and I think him trying to say, "Oh, I'm the best player in the league," he said that earlier this year. I just don't feel like anyone really buys Jayson Tatum. So,
wait a minute, is there anyone more low key than Jokic who treats this like a side hustle?
Yes, but there's a different thing about Jokic. Tatum, I don't know. Tatum is viewed differently. Jokic, I think everyone kind of they know he doesn't care about basketball. He's still a total killer. Jayson Tatum, I don't know. People just are not wrapping their head around him as that kind of player. I know it's funny because Kobe was his mentor, but he doesn't seem to have in people's mind that Kobe thing.
Okay,
I don't think people view him as a finisher.
This is a problem in the NBA on a couple fronts, which is if you actually go to the finals and fail, it is in some ways worse for your reputation than if you don't even make the playoffs or if you flame out early in the playoffs. We talk about this with coaches all the time in the NBA. The best way to keep your job as a coach in the NBA is do not make the playoffs. Don't make the playoffs. Because if you go and fail, now all of a sudden you're on the hot seat, as opposed to if you're just some mediocre team, you can sort of fly under the radar for a lot longer. And it's ridiculous to me. The same thing with Tatum. Because he's had spectacular flameouts in the postseason, now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's done absolutely nothing in the postseason yet, he's 25, so we got a lot of time, that he would get this MVP over Tatum. It doesn't make sense to me.
I think some of this, though, I mean, we got to be real, though. His numbers don't match up to the guys we're talking about at the top, including Jokic, who has a championship. Sure. And when we're talking about most valuable player, and I know he's a great player, he's the best player on the Celtics, but he has two other guys averaging 20 points a game. He has a point guard who could have been an all-star this year in Derek White. Like, he has a great team. When you're thinking about most valuable, you look at them and say, hey, if Tatum missed a month, would the Celtics miss a beat? Probably not.
Okay, but then we have it both ways, because then it's like you can't win it if you haven't won a title, which means inherently your team is awesome. So, but if you haven't won a title, then you're not worthy of an MVP. But if you're the best player on your team and you have no one around you, then you're also not worthy of an MVP. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, the problem, too, is Jayson Tatum would probably score 30 points a game in Oklahoma City because there aren't a lot of scorers there. They're a great team, but I think if you're on a bad team, you get a lot of shots, so you get more points. Like Embiid.
He takes the same amount of shots as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
No, Shai Gilgeous is...
No, they do not. I'm looking at their numbers. 20 for Shai, 19 for Tatum.
No, I know. Shai is hitting at a high percentage. I will give you that.
And the field goal attempts are basically the same.
But who do you want? Who's getting the finals? Jayson.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, anyone that was hoping the Bears were going to keep Justin Fields, I'm sorry to say the winds do not seem to be blowing in that direction. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Yesterday, Bears general manager Ryan Poles Perloff at the NFL Scouting Combine basically saying we don't want to leave Justin Fields in the dark. We want to do right by him in this process, and comparing Caleb Williams to Patrick Mahomes. I think all these things add them up, stir them around in the stew, and you have the Bears taking Caleb Williams and trading Fields.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. I think it's disappointing because we all want to see chaos. We want to see player movement. Off seasons with a lot of trades are exciting. Justin Fields trade for a second and a fourth. That's okay. That's interesting. Maybe say Atlanta. But if they were going to trade the number one overall pick, oh my gosh, your imagination runs wild with what could happen with the Bears. What kind of team could they build? Where does Caleb Williams go? There's so much. It's such a more interesting offseason scenario. It's still the story of the offseason, but after Poles' comments yesterday, I feel like it's kind of died down a bit.
Here's Poles saying the Bears want to do right by Justin Fields.
If we go down that road, I want to do right by Justin as well. No one wants to live in gray. I know that's uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to be in that situation either. So we'll gather the information. We'll move as quickly as possible. We're not going to be in a rush and see what presents itself and what's best for the organization.
Okay, so you want to do, I like the end there. You want to do what's best for the organization. I get you don't want to leave Justin Fields in a gray area, but frankly, that's not your job anymore. Your job isn't to placate Justin Fields. Your job is just to get the best return for Justin Fields. So, listen, if you want to move quickly and you want to have this all cleared up before free agency and before the draft, I get it. But he should only be thinking about the Bears, not making sure that Justin Fields lands in on a bed of roses somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately we're talking about a couple picks, maybe the fourth pick in the second round or the eighth pick in the second round. Maybe he's worried about relationships in the locker room. Everyone seems to love Justin Fields. DJ Moore especially seems to love him, or he's just saying nice things about him. So maybe I think Justin Fields, he doesn't want to kick him to the curb and have a lot of bad feelings in that locker room. Because it's interesting that the Bears are an ascending team. They went from 2-7 to 7-10. They probably would make the playoffs with Justin Fields. There are probably some veterans in that locker room who don't want them to get rid of Justin Fields. Because he's got 3 years under his belt. Caleb Williams, I know he's a generational talent, but it could be rough. He's entering the NFL for the first time. If you're DJ Moore and Caleb Williams isn't good, you're going to be like, what the heck did you guys just do?
Listen, I'm not trying to say that NFL players are only in this to make money, but to be honest, you want your team starting over with a rookie quarterback if you're a veteran on that team.
Moore, though?
This is how the money becomes available. You're paying a quarterback. If you end up paying Justin Fields, now there's less to go around for everybody. You have Caleb Williams on a rookie contract. And if he ends up becoming anything like Mahomes, that's the two ways you get paid, right? Is there's money to give you on a team, and number two, you're on a successful team. Like the Bears have to stop this, this tradition, if you will, of either minimizing the quarterback, missing on the quarterback. At some point, you've got to get totally modernized here. It's 2024. This is the best path to win. Not everyone's going to be Brock Purdy. And if you don't have the foresight to build your team like the 49ers and get stupid lucky that Mr. Irrelevant ends up becoming this very good quarterback, you've got to do this the more traditional way, and that is taking Caleb Williams. So,
yeah, but I don't think DJ Moore is going to be there for the Caleb Williams. I said he's already getting a little older anyway. I think a lot of these veterans. I mean, the Bears not only going to draft Caleb Williams, they're probably going to clear out pretty much everybody there. At a certain point, I mean, they don't have.
Why would they be clearing anyone out? They're on the rise.
Well, with Justin Fields, they were good, but you look at the roster here; they're still not super talented offensively. I think that they still have to build a lot of pieces around Caleb, which, to your point, they'll be able to do with a low salary cap. I mean, so DJ Moore's 26. Is he really going to be here for this whole Caleb Williams run?
He'll be here for the next 4 years of it.
I don't know.
Perloff, if you were the general manager of a team, you'd be trading guys the moment they turn, 25?
You look at, well, certainly wide receiver, I would be getting rid of the older guys. But you look at this offense, how many real keeper players are there? They Darnell Wright, who was a first-round pick at right tackle. But other than that, there's just not a lot there, obviously. That's why Fields was actually probably running the ball so much. Even when they got better last year, it's not a talented team. We know that, right? I mean, Caleb Williams is probably not going to – it's going to be hard for him to be C.J. Stroud this year. There's just not the offense around him.
Okay, but C.J. Stroud walked into the Texans and no one was saying that was going to be a barn burner offense.
No one was saying that, but they have so much invested in that offensive line. I mean, they have all pros on that offense. I think Chicago's a tough spot. I don't think it's a hot take by any means. It's not going to be easy for Caleb Williams.
Okay, but if you think that they would have been a playoff team with Justin Fields, They're not that far off. You're not. If you're saying they would be a playoff team with one guy, and then you put a rookie quarterback, it's going to be tougher because the guy's going to have to go through some rookie lumps. But you're upgrading the position. I think the odds
you're upgrading it long term, but I think the odds go down for next year. I think they take a hit. I think. They could eat. Can't you see them winning 9-10 games with Justin Fields?
I know, but you're saying two things. That you're saying that the roster sucks, they can't do anything, but they could win 10 games.
Right, but Justin Fields is perfect for this kind of roster. They're a really good defense, and they're a decent running team. Justin Fields is a great runner. They can churn out a lot of wins this way, like get to 9 or 10. But that's the problem. That's the most this team's ever going to get to.
I see.
I think this year they're going to take a small step back with Caleb Williams and then take off like a rocket ship once they build the team around him. They definitely need more receivers. That's why they wanted Marvin Harrison. That's why they're trying to figure this out to get a great guy. What do they pick, 9? Mm-hmm. They definitely need more skill position players. Even DJ Moore, is he that great? He's good, but he's not a traditional number 1. He's kind of tiny. I think they have a lot of work to do. Honestly, look at that division. Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago. I think they're 4th place next year with Caleb Williams.
They might be, but again, the roster can't be that awful if you think they could be a 10-win team with Justin Fields. So I don't know if I would pick them maybe dead last. I got to see what's happening with Minnesota.
Yeah, that's a good point. Minnesota is obviously up in the air at quarterback. We'll see. If Kirk Cousins comes back, though, I think that's a pretty safe bet that they'll be better than the Bears.
I don't know. 35-year-old guy coming off an Achilles. We haven't really talked about what the reality of that will be like. Yeah. We've kind of taken it for granted that Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, they're going to come back and step on the field and be perfect after suffering this kind of injury.
Yeah, I like Minnesota's coaching staff a lot more than Chicago's. That's the other thing. You still have an Eberflus problem no matter what. And Eberflus is a guy, he might win 10 games. He's not winning 14 games. That's sort of my bottom line here. They got to start over. You got to get Caleb Williams in here. Maggie, you're way too high on this. I know, I think the Caleb Williams Chicago experiment, I'm down on it already.
Well, you don't think they'll ever make a Super Bowl?
I don't think Caleb takes Chicago to the Super Bowl.
I'm not so sure. I think he's going to be pretty damn good. I don't know if he's going to be Mahomes. I mean, that's a really lofty expectation for the kid, but for the guy. But I think he's going to be really good in this league. 855-212-4CBS. All right, Combine is up, which means a lot of people talking into microphones. And are they telling the truth or are they telling us lies? We'll play you a couple clips. Perloff and I will tell you whether these GMs and coaches are telling the truth or lying. Oh, this is dramatic. These lies are big lies or big truths. All right, DJ, what do you have?
Okay, so let's begin with, let's talk about Tom Teleasco. So the Raiders have a big dilemma at quarterback and at wide receiver because what's going to happen with Davante Adams? Well, Davante Adams, maybe he's on the trade market. That's been some of the questions. It was Tom Teleasco when he was asked about the situation involving Davante Adams and whether or not they would consider trading him.
He's a Raider.
Oh, yeah. That's all you're getting? That means this is a lie. It is a lie. Well, it's the truth that he's a Raider. It's a lie that they would not think about trading Davante Adams. I think Davante Adams is up for a trade. I don't know about Max Crosby. This is a team where you feel like they're really starting from the bottom with likely a rookie quarterback, Perloff. You got a rookie head coach. If you can get something for Davante Adams, this should have been done already.
I tend to believe it because I think Antonio Pierce who's a very physical guy, will block the door if Davante tries to get out of there. He's like, if you take this piece away from me and give me nothing next year, because Antonio Pierce probably doesn't have that long a leash. An interim coach named head coach is not an ideal situation. So if you take away Davante Adams, what is it? And Josh Jacobs probably going to leave. You got nothing here. And for some reason, the reason that I think this could actually end up working out and him staying Raider, Davante seems to like it there, despite the fact that they stink. He seems a little sticky with this Raiders team.
Living in Vegas was really awesome.
I think that's what it is. So if Davante doesn't make noise, and they get a second-round pick, why not keep him? You got nothing else.
Okay, so let's go to Minnesota, where the Vikings general manager, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, said that the team has never thought about trading star wide receiver Justin Jefferson.
That is not something that's once crossed my mind. You got a blue player, blue person. You try and keep as many of those as you can.
Blue chip, I'm assuming he means, right?
No, I think it's the blue, green, yellow qualification. A lot of teams have a scouting. I'm not sure, but there's a scouting system. Blue is like a TJ Watt. Green is like Justin Madubuike. So there's like 10 blues in the league. This is a thing. I heard about it the other day on some weird podcast. I could be totally wrong, but I think his point is if you have a guy who's this good, you don't let him out the door. And I totally believe him. I mean, we're talking about what a risk it would be to not draft Caleb Williams. What GM is going to sit there and let Justin Jefferson out the door? It's a huge risk.
No, I would not trade him, but I think this is a lie because I think that general managers are always looking at everything, right? Because they're the only one who is really in touch with the players' agents as well. And if there was some reports coming out that Justin Jefferson really wanted to know the future of the quarterback organization before he would sign anything long-term. I mean, once you start entering into these things, I want my general manager to always have a plan B and a plan C. You've got to be ready for anything. I think it would be silly for the team to part ways with the player, but I totally think he's thought about trading Justin Jefferson. I'm sure he's fielded calls about it.
I think you're underestimating the risk that would be for Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, a young GM, to be the guy who let Justin Jefferson walk out of the building. That's not something I think you want.
No, I'm not saying
resume.
he will. I'm saying he's thought about it.
I don't even think he lets it enter his mind. He's like, I am not. If I let Justin Jefferson out of there, everyone here is going to hate me. I think he's like, I'll bet you he gets calls about him, and I'll bet you he's like, nah, I can't even really go down that path because of this reason.
Okay, next we have Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles head coach. EJ, what'd he say?
Yeah, so Nick Sirianni, can't find books on leadership, but he seems to be an expert on A.J. Brown and what he brings to the table when it comes to that department. Here is Nick Sirianni on A.J. Brown.
A.J., like I've been telling you guys for a long time, not only is he, one of the best players I've ever been around, he's also one of the best leaders, and and he's going to do anything he can do to stick up for his teammates. That's why I admire. That's why he wears a C on his chest.
Yeah, right. Replace A.J. Brown's name with Stephon Diggs or any other diva wide receiver. There's no wide receiver who leads in any way at all. They are all get me the ball, get me the ball, get me the ball. They have to be. You kind of want them to be that way. I think A.J. Brown has been kind of a malcontent in the sense that he's been complaining. Even the Super Bowl year, he was upset at the end of the year because he wasn't getting the ball enough. All wide receivers are like that. I don't believe that any elite wide receiver is a true leader. I don't buy this from Sirianni.
I also think this is a lie. Just because, listen, a guy's okay. So AJ Brown calls into WIP and says, "I'm the guy who's holding everyone accountable." Right? You want somebody like me in your locker room. I'm calling guys out. I'm holding them up to the standard. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you need those kind of guys, but the locker room kind of has to anoint you that guy, doesn't? That's it's like giving yourself your own nickname.
Ron said about Bronny given, not earned, or earned, not given, whatever.
Everyone else has to look to you, I think. It's not just are they hearing you, but are they looking to you for your leadership? And I don't know if they're looking to A.J. Brown for the leadership.
Well, I'm curious, what do you mean? He's not a good enough player? He's not the right character to do that?
No, I just think that the messenger sometimes can't be can't be cut off from the message, right? Does the locker room want to be hearing this from A.J. Brown?
Yeah.
He's saying, I'm holding guys accountable. I'm getting up with guys' asses. I'm the one who's like making sure everyone's working 110%. Does the locker room want to hear that from A.J. Brown?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he's the one player who clearly works really hard, though. He's a maniac. I can see me that. But also, too, A.J. Brown, is he really going to different position groups and doing this?
He told WIP
That's what he said.
He's the one
No,
who's
I know.
holding everyone accountable.
I find it hard to see a number one wide receiver being like that, but they're such a selfish position by nature. A.J. Brown is a hard worker, though. I guess, and also, is A.J. Brown saying, I'm better than Hurts at this? Is that kind of what the implied message is?
He's saying he's the one who's actually holding people accountable.
Meaning Hurts is
where
not.
Hurts is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the read between the lines. He said Hurts is exactly the same guy if we've lost 5 in a row than won 5 in a row, and that he's, a little more lead by example, I guess.
Here's the bottom line of that quote from Sirianni's terrified of A.J. Brown. That is very clear. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
There's a C on his chest.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that he's like, A.J. Brown's great. That guy could do no wrong. Don't get mad at me, A.J.
Okay, let's go to the last one here. Let's go to the ATL where new head coach Raheem Morris has had some interesting thoughts about what his future would have been had the Falcons maybe been better last season.
It's time to implement a couple new things, go out there and find out who's going to be the trigger man for us and put ourselves in position to win. And I'm not afraid to say that we have the ability and we're capable to go out there and win next year. If we do some of the right things, some of the right moves, we can do that. And that's not an arrogance, that's not a confidence, that's not a cockiness. That is more of a credit to the people that were in the building with me still, and some of the people that are not there now, and what they've been able to do. If we had better quarterback play last year in Atlanta, I might not be standing here.
That is the truth. That is super self-aware and true. This is all about the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. And yes, if they had gotten better quarterback play, Arthur Smith is probably still the coach.
Yeah, I don't know if it's self-aware or more aware of the guy that was there before you. Yes, that's very clear. We cannot argue with that because we got to see what the Falcons did.
Finally, someone told the truth at the NFL Scouting Combine. Thank you, Raheem Morris. The only person to ever tell the truth.
first for everything in the Combine, right?
There we go. Well, thank you, EJ. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Quickly, let's hit John is in Harrisburg, has a thought about Justin Fields. And it looks like, if you read through some of the tea leaves yesterday, it looks like the Bears are likely moving on from Fields. John, hello.
Hey, good morning, Maggie. Good morning, Perloff. How are you guys?
We're doing great. What's up?
Hey, well, so there's I had a thought. I haven't seen or heard anything about it, but, the big Chicago dilemma, the whole Chicago organization has been wildly interesting to follow over the last few years.
Yep.
But from this, the linchpin is roster construction. That's what you hear about. And Ryan Poles wants to do right by Justin Fields, and he needs to do what's best for the Bears organization. I get that. Justin Fields, he's got an agent. Agent needs to do what's best for Justin Fields. No, I haven't heard anyone explore a contract extension for Justin Fields at, what Justin Fields' market worth is. Is he looking for elite quarterback play? It's not like his stats really justify that. If he takes a team-friendly deal, the Bears can rebuild, trade down, do kind of like what Peter King's talking about, maybe grab Marvin Harrison. There's other good wide receivers. I mean, there's tons of different ways to tackle it, but Justin Fields taking an extension to stay in Chicago like he wants to do on a team-friendly deal, like, where's that angle?
Well, John, you don't have to give him an extension right now if you don't want to. He's just finishing the 3rd year of his contract, which means you can pick up the 5th-year option, so you get the next year for cheap, and then your 5th year is like $20 million. Again, that's cheap in quarterback land. So extending him now, Perloff, I don't know if I would do that because I don't have to.
No. And I think bottom line is they're going to trade him anyway. But you're right. That's why you haven't heard. I know Peter King told us the other day that the wind is blowing towards keeping Justin Fields and trading the number one. But I think the caller brings up a good point. Nobody's talked about a number for Justin Fields in Chicago. I think the interesting thing is if they trade him, say, to Atlanta, is Justin Fields' agent going to say, all right, we did the trade, now give me the big contract, which is kind of scary for Ryan Poles. Like if Fields is demanding a new contract, which is often the case,
right,
then that's a problem. But then again,
For Ryan Poles?
Yeah, for Ryan Poles, because people are not going to want to trade a high pick.
And if he's demanding it, right.
That's sort of like the catch-22 with these trades. When you trade a quarterback, that quarterback is going to want a new contract, especially because he's up for negotiation. But I've not heard one person say the Bears are going to look long-term. I've never seen that.
No, and if I were the Falcons, I would say, all right, if Justin Fields' agent says, listen, if you're going to trade for him, we want to start talking about a new contract immediately.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, then I'm just drafting a quarterback at 8.
Yeah, that's
later.
That's the issue.
Good luck finding another team. Raiders are out. That's his former offensive coordinator. They did not get along, Luke Getsy, and he's now in Vegas. Like, where's the music going to stop and you're going to find a team that's going to hand you a starting job?
Well, New England, Washington.
I don't think New England and Washington, that's going to happen. I think they're going to both draft quarterbacks. And a lot of times when you draft guys that high, there is a rush and a pressure to sort of play them right away because you want the fan base to get excited about them. They sell tickets. I mean, the Patriots just did this with Mac Jones.
If I give you this offer, I give you Justin Fields and Marvin Harrison Jr. or Drake May and I don't even know, Kendrick Bourne's a free agent. Give me a receiver. Who's a receiver?
Juju?
Wait,
are you talking about for the Patriots?
For the Patriots, yeah.
Devontae Parker?
Okay.
I don't know what you're trying to say. You're just asking me for Patriots wide receivers.
You have no wide receiver in Drake May. I'm saying you could make an argument that Fields and Harrison's a better combination than Drake May and nobody.
Yes, you could.
I mean, there's a lot of smoke out there. The Patriots are going to be looking non-quarterback at 3. I think there's a good reason. Add anybody in Marvin Harrison is better than Drake May and who they currently have. That's my point. There's just nothing there for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
It seems like a really dire situation.
I would show bet that with you.
That they'll take I mean, I'm not so certain, but I do think they're thinking about it. And I also think
the Giants. I'm already thinking about
you can think on
New England Clam Chowder being a part of the bet. And I really am excited about that.
Oh,
boy. Will you give me odds?
No.
Oh, that is banned. Last time we did that,
I got in trouble for it.
And I was wearing a Patriots jersey, so we're definitely not doing that again on a Patriots bet.
No, show bets can't have odds or stipulations.
But what if Drake May is like minus 200 to go there?
I'm asking you today. I don't know. I have no idea what the odds are. I haven't looked at anything. I just believe that the Patriots will draft a quarterback.
Well, okay, but that's the common belief, so I get odds.
Oh,
you can't. No, there's no straight bet in this situation. There's no straight, even draft bets.
I cannot allow this because then I will get in trouble.
Yes.
We cannot do
No,
odds.
because I'm not rooting against my own team. That's where the problem came in.
No, Spike came in and said it was beyond that. It's like, why are we putting any kind of odds or spread on anything? It's straight up.
It's got to be straight up
But
show
there's
bets.
no straight up bets in the draft. They all have odds. I'm
Just
sure
like-
there's odds on whether the Patriots take a quarterback right now. I'm sure it's like minus 200, right?
No, but the question would be, how do we pay off the bet if there's odds?
You have to do something worse than I do.
If they don't take it?
If they don't take a quarterback, you have to do something pretty severe. If they do take a quarterback, I have to do something mildly severe. That's how it works.
It's going to get us in trouble again, Perloff.
We cannot
and
do
we're
this.
all going to get punished.
You want to hear me sing Sweet Caroline again? You definitely don't.
Please, God, no. EJ, so many talents.
You got to
Singing,
negotiate. You
not one
can't
of
just
them.
take a bet. You got to negotiate bet terms.
That's what got everyone in
how
trouble the last time.
Yeah, but that's a smart way to play this. That's what good GMs do.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, one of the great mysteries of the NFL was uncovered yesterday, and we will get that story next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Sorry, I'm laughing. I just looked over, and Pete Pilati is not in the room right now. But today's great shows, there he is, Great Sports Debate, is the best comeback of all time.
Comeback out of retirement.
Best comeback out of retirement. And I'm sorry, I'm just still giggling to myself how much we all judge you for your Bruce Bochy is the greatest comeback. We had Michael Phelps, one of the greatest athletes of all time. Michael Jordan, the greatest athlete of all time. I went with George Foreman. Bogusch went with Mario Lemieux, the great Mario Lemieux.
Came back from cancer.
And I was the most dominant physical athlete the NHL's ever seen. And who did Pete go with?
Bruce Bochy.
Bruce Bochy, who had an elite mustache, but I don't know physically if he did anything else. He was a journeyman catcher. It just physically doesn't fit, Pilati.
All right, fine. But he won a World Series more than you'd have.
Yeah, but Michael Phelps, Michael Jordan, I don't know. I just feel like Bruce Bochy doesn't fit in this list because he didn't play. That's the only thing.
But you said Rick Ankiel was great, so I mean, come on, get lost.
That was a user, a Delta 9, who wrote in Rick Ankiel is one of them.
Rick Ankiel had great stuff as a kid.
It's really funny because it said, well, what about Dusty Baker, which Andrew Kaplan said.
Yeah.
He also came out of retirement, and he coached the Houston Astros, and they won. And Pete said, no, they're a bunch of cheaters. And I'd love to know if everyone that Bruce Bochy ever managed was really playing by the rules.
But also, they had a stacked team as well. Not like he came back and rebuilt the team.
Did Bochy?
He had some players, but he didn't have the players that the Astros did.
Well,
They also ran the Astros. That's true. He beat those Astros. He retired Dusty Baker.
But Dusty did do it.
Right.
He literally did come out of retirement, literally did win a World Series.
I think the Bochy thing for me, I think he's a great story. I just think it's the time that doesn't do it for me.
He wasn't away long enough.
Yeah, 4 years.
You just got a double
we hear Dick Vermeil. It's like, wow, that's a long time. Like, I just needed more time, I think.
I just think it's the image. The imagery is what's killing him. We should have kept coaches out of this. Let's just face it.
In the immortal words of somebody who used to sit here, take a lap.
That's Barashism.
Not to go any further on this, but did Bochy actually retire? Or did he just not have a job?
That is the distinction. We're pretty buttoned up about it, considering we didn't allow Muhammad Ali to be involved in this debate because he never retired. He was protesting the Vietnam War. While you guys look at that, I've got some quotes for you from Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams gave an interview to Pete Thamel from ESPN. Now, there's no audio of this because it happened over the phone. But here's what he had to say. Caleb Williams, quote, if I get drafted by the Bears, I'll be excited. If they trade the pick and I get drafted by someone else, I'm just as excited. Speaking about Chicago, they have a talented team, a talented offense and defense. For anyone to be in that situation, I think they'd be excited. Williams pushed back, that's end quote. Williams pushed back on the notion that he would request a trade or wants to play elsewhere. Quote, I'm not pushing any agenda. At the end of the day, the Bears have the last say. Regardless of how I feel, I'm not pushing an agenda of, yeah, I want to go, or no, I don't want to go. I'm excited for whatever comes. As for the city of Chicago, he says he has gone down video rabbit holes studying Michael Jordan and Walter Payton. His quote, I'm 22. I didn't really get to see those players. As the saying goes, the legends live on. That's my goal of playing football. It's not money. It's not fame. It's to be immortal. I want to reach that sense of being a legend, being at the table, and having a rightful seat through hard work and energy and the time I put into this game that we all love. End quote.
I love how you just skipped over the Cubs winning a World Series to get to Jordan.
Anthony
90s.
Rizzo. And
you couldn't look up Baez and them boys. Like, went to the 90s?
Well, I mean, you know, I get it. Legends of the game. Now, he did say, though, like, he acknowledged that going to D.C. would just be very familiar. So it's not, I like this. It seems like he's being sort of, like, realistic about it, right?
Those quotes are interesting to me, and you guys can jump on me if you think I'm crazy. He kind of sounds like he don't know what's going to happen. Like, they have not told him that they're going to take him.
No,
he hasn't met them yet. So he said he's looking forward to the quote-unquote first date.
But you would think that agents talk. Oh, well, he doesn't have an agent.
No, he doesn't have an agent. He said
might be.
He doesn't have an agent, but he said he does have a team of lawyers around him.
Let me ask you, how many times in that quote did he say the word agenda?
He said he does not have an agenda.
Right. How many times? So he said it like 4 times. So he clearly was he's clearly combating, obviously Colin Cowherd came out with a report he doesn't like Chicago and he immediately poo-pooed it. He clearly has an agenda to make it clear he does not have an agenda, almost like he practiced saying this. You know, it feels very, very specific, like he had a goal with these quotes,
He did
right?
say about wanting to meet the media in Indianapolis, quote, I want everyone to hear me and get a feel for who I am so they're not throwing things out there that are false or that isn't coming from me. So, yes, there you go, Colin Cowherd. That one's for you. He also said he did go to Tokyo recently, quick vacation. He enjoyed the food, was out of this world, highlighted by Wagyu steak. And, quote, I'm not even a red meat kind of guy.
Those Wagyu.
Wagyu?
Definitely Wagyu, but
yeah.
What did I say?
Whatever.
Wagyu.
Doesn't matter.
As long as the seasoning's good.
Jeez, guys, I didn't realize I was sitting around with Guy Fieri and, you know.
I feel like that's not like a deep cut in terms of foodie-isms. Like, that's like any steakhouse sells that. Any good one.
Well, he went to Tokyo and he said the food was out of this world. If he's not a red meat kind of guy, isn't Chicago's a red meat kind of town, don't we think?
And maybe he's a pizza guy.
He might be a pizza guy.
Because he can get plenty of deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
So we probably want him away from red meat and pizza if he's going to be an elite athlete playing for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, that's not light fare.
No.
Deep dish pizza. Don't eat those and go play the Packers.
That might be worse than eating red meat. all those carbs, no.
I mean, the bottom line is you could say Caleb Williams could have the worst personality on earth. He could be the biggest jerk. His game tape is so ridiculously good that there's nothing he could do to knock himself out of one. I don't think he needs to beat the beat. I don't buy all this. I understand. I think he's sort of starting to work on his brand a little bit. But, I mean, does anybody think there's anything? All the rumors about it, crying with his mom and painting his fingernails.
Those aren't a rumor. That was
right. But all this, it doesn't matter. I think we talk about character, but the fact is, if you can throw 100 touchdowns and 10 picks in your career, it doesn't matter. I think he's just so good that all this is sort of window dressing to me.
I think you're right. But here's the one thing I think I'll say. The last time the Bears really got a quarterback where they really were excited and they really thought they were going to go to a Super Bowl, that guy had massive issues in terms of leadership and character.
Yeah.
And I think there may be some battle scars or scar tissue, maybe is a better word, that they're kind of, and maybe the fans and maybe the city's kind of dealing with from that, because they saw a guy come in who could throw a ball through a wall, who was talented, but a lot of people didn't like him, and there were questions about whether or not he was a great leader. So when they see a Caleb Williams is a different kind of athlete, different kind of player, but they may say, hey, we've dealt with a guy who's a great talent, but didn't have the leadership qualities, and we saw what that happened.
Don't the great ones kind of go hand in hand? I mean, unless someone is a real you-know-what behind the scenes, but for the most part, I feel like your best leaders and your best quarterbacks who have good leadership skills, no?
But Jay seemed, and I don't know Jay, so I don't mean to bag on him at all, but it seemed like there was something different with him.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was.
But he wasn't the number one pick.
I don't want to say he was in Jeff George's conversation, but I feel like he was kind of veering towards there, where it was like, nobody in the locker room likes him. Nobody really buys into him. And it was a problem that it maybe kept them from winning a championship. And I think it's unfair. The guy got hurt in a game where, if he played, that he would have been fine.
But he wasn't the number one pick, to be fair. He was
for sure.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh what?
I did flag something in this article.
Uh-oh.
Guess who Williams has been working out with?
Quincy Avery?
Jay Cutler.
No, he's not Quincy. Quincy couldn't get him.
Oh.
We tried.
Nathan Peterman. Forget it. I'm out.
Wow.
What?
On purpose?
I don't know. He's a former Bear. He's working out with Mason Rudolph, Emory Jones, and Nate Peterman.
Where? In California?
Florida.
I kind of like that.
With trainer Will Hewitt.
I kind of like that. I want to go someplace where I'm clearly the best dude.
I was going to say, don't do what Peterman does.
Right, yeah. Like, you see, it's funny, like, I know I have a family member who worked in the NFL, and he was like, there's nothing more, for someone from the outside, there's nothing more obvious when you step on a practice field in terms of, like, wow, I see a big difference in watching QB1 go through a drill and then watching QB2 and 3 go through a drill. It is like night and day. So Caleb Williams is getting ready for when he's in Chicago.
Nathan Peterman's not bad in shorts. He's pretty good.
Just when you put the helmet and the pads on.
His only problem, his big problems are when that rush comes at him. But he's actually been okay. He's been okay the last couple of years. He's my guy.
He's been okay because he's not playing. Bogusch is here with headphones, headlines.
I got all those things.
Sorry, I was thinking about the time Nathan Peterman threw 5 picks for my Bills in one half. Yeah, go ahead.
If you need more than baseball see-through pants, may I offer you the NFL Scouting Combine? Because you don't really know what's going to happen when large humans start running and jumping and doing 3-cone drills. You may recall about 8 years ago when Chiefs stud D lineman Chris Jones, then just an NFL hopeful, was running the 40 in Indy, and his you-know-what fell out of its 3-point stance. Jones just told the story on the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis.
I believe you said it right there in quotes, like my fell out.
Bro, it's exactly what I said. I didn't even believe it. I was running. I'm looking at the 40, and all of a sudden I feel it. I feel it touch my leg, and I'm like, oh, I try to cuff it and take the dive. You know what I mean? Because I know little kids watching.
If you haven't seen the video, which I didn't recall seeing, so I found it again this morning, the wardrobe malfunction happens, and Chris Jones falls on himself to save us from the rest of it. But then you still see him lean up and look back, and there it is before he retucks it back in. So how in the world did this happen?
I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I was so big on being different from everyone. Everybody was wearing the long tights. I was like, you know what? I am not going out there and copying everybody. I'm gonna wear the short tights. I didn't realize they was boxers, bro.
And now Jason Kelce sums up how most of us are feeling right now.
I got to say, how blessed you are to even be able to describe it as though your fell out.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't even think I could describe that adjective for mine. I don't think it could fall anywhere.
Yes, Chris Jones says, I could feel it on my leg. I guess that's something Jason Kelce's never thought of, experienced.
That was a bit of a humble brag by Chris Jones right there, that whole story. Yeah.
It's not a humble brag. There's video of it.
He's like, I felt it on my knee, and it was...
Yeah.
I felt it mid-shin. It was weird.
I said, what's on the ground?
It's like, and I tried to take a dive, but it propped me back up.
But
I was on the 40. He was on the 38. It was weird.
They measure everything, and they take a lot of notes in the combine. I mean, baseball, by
You
the
got
way.
height and weight on that bad boy?
Baseball, we now know. Baseball, we can clearly measure these things now in modern.
They're basically putting it right in our faces.
Yeah,
for baseball.
you can measure
It's like
all
an
those
X-ray
guys.
machine.
But I mean, Chris Jones came out. He was 6'6", 310. I mean, you have to there
Which
must have been a lot falling out there. That's a large man.
I know Jason Kelce's not small.
Yeah,
It's
but
quite a revelation.
He's not 6'6", though.
I bet you doesn't make People Magazine's list next year after that.
Chris Jones just won.
Chris
I know,
Jones is going to be in, Kelce out. Who do you think's making these lists?
Yeah, you're right. Jason Kelce's 6'3", 295, but doesn't he seem like he's like Barney
Small?
Rubble
What do you-
compared to Chris Jones? Compared to Chris Jones, isn't Chris Jones
Seem a little
like giant
inadequate?
compared? No, he's like a little guy, Jason Kelce. But then you're right, he's gigantic. Oh, I don't know.
I hadn't thought about Jason Kelce proportions until just
You
now.
never thought about
But
it?
I
Once
see your
he
point.
gets low on the tush push.
Because there's nothing in his way.
If Chris Jones were there, that'd be a whole nother story.
Chris couldn't do it.
Put him in the nose. Put him on the nose. The face
Jones would tip
now
over.
we know how to stop the tush push.
It would look like he's hovering.
I mean, okay, if we would be real, you could sort of guess based on other proportions what's going on down there, right? We all know that, right, Maggie?
I know nothing of what you speak.
But just if you have 9 foot long, if you're 7'2" in an NBA locker room with long arms, I'm avoiding that locker. That's all I will say. Just the tall guys have, well, whatever.
I know Perloff wasn't getting those Ewing quotes after the conference finals in '98.
Yeah, but I was back in the Knicks locker room, and there were certain guys who tried to intimidate everyone by walking around the room naked. That's an old sports thing, right?
Eyes up.
Yeah, it always worked.
Learn that in any given Sunday.
Yeah, it always worked. Yeah,
Eyes up.
There's I'm like, you're not a shooting guard, you're a power forward. I don't know. It's getting weird. Chris Jones though. Chris Jones.
It got
what a
weird
40.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, it started out with a guy whose junk fell out during the 40.
Let me move on. Ryan Poles, the Bears
Oh, there
GM,
you
said
go.
yesterday, you guys were just discussing, they'll make a Justin Fields decision as soon as possible. And if they decide to trade the QB so they can take Caleb Williams, they'll do it as quickly as possible because they want to do right by Fields. Shohei Ohtani's bat on full display yesterday, a two-run homer.
Poles and bat. I thought you were going to change.
I'm
Oh,
a
okay.
pro.
Is that what we're doing here?
In his Dodgers spring training debut, Ohtani also struck out and grounded out in his other at-bats against the White Sox. And should we mention that the Sixers lost again last night? 117-99 to the Celtics in Philly. Boston's won 9 in a row. The Sixers are 4-8 since Embiid's latest knee injury, which begs the question, are the Pistons better than the current Sixers? Detroit won last night, 105-95, improving to a robust 9-49. They now share the worst record in the NBA with the Wizards, who took a 123-112 home loss from the Warriors last night.
And let's be honest, they probably should have at least been able to tie and go to overtime with the Knicks, but that was one of the all-time, not all-time, but a no-call happened the other night. Didn't the Knicks win 113-111 in that game, right? So you would have thought if you could hit free throws, maybe you're going to overtime, maybe they win that game. I doubt it, but maybe.
I was thinking coming in this morning and saying my Pels beat the Knicks, but people always been mad at me all week, and I thought that would just put him over the top.
It's your Pistons, not your Pels.
Pete just standing up like a bodyguard now.
Yeah.
Like Big Dom back there.
He gets, yeah.
By the way, did you see the photo that we took in the bucket hats?
No.
Well, I have them in my possession because Colton took them on EJ's phone.
Yes.
So the Erie Seawolves sent us these cool bucket hats. Right, so we all take this photo so I can send it to the people in the area, but I don't know if I can send this to them because for some reason Pete's eye, you can't see his eyes.
Oh yeah, he looks like one of those like cartoon characters.
Yes.
Those kids that have the hat, but you only see that face. That's like their whole
Got
bit.
a little Paddington Bear thing going on
I'm
right
going
now.
to tweet it out a little bit. I'm going to tweet it out. And you can see everyone's eyes. We're all smiling. Everyone's up. And then it's just Pete's mouth and a nose.
This is the kind of pictures we take in like high school, like when at the end of the semester they're like, "Hey, everybody get together for a group picture," and there's always one guy who does this.
Pete looks like he's in witness protection just with the Erie Seawolves. All right, I'm going to tweet it now. I don't have time to put a filter on it. Sorry, everyone.
This picture is awesome. Actually,
I don't know which one to pick. They're all so good. All right. Bogusch, anything else?
No.
Coming up, I got a new fear. I don't know if you guys are going to be with me on this
Is it
one.
Chris Jones?
I was already scared. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this. There's been an uptick in news articles and news stories about the amount of space debris out there. You guys notice this? Like, there's always some kind of thing that's on track, but it's going to, like, slightly veer off and miss Earth.
No.
Have you guys not noticed this?
Sorry, Andy Rooney, we have not noticed that.
Are we working on a bit? Debris?
Working on a bit here? What's going on?
No, this is one of my genuine fears. You're afraid of sharks, Perloff. EJ, I don't know if we've got your deepest, darkest fears yet.
We'll get to that at some point.
Yeah, and Colton is new around here. Pete, I think his biggest fear is probably getting stuck in traffic somewhere on the LIE. Getting hit with an asteroid, some kind of space debris falling. Is one of my big ones.
Does it burn up in the atmosphere?
Not always, I don't think. Because how did an asteroid hit the Earth that killed off the dinosaurs?
I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying it happened. Nothing.
Yeah.
What else has changed about outer space in 65 million years? I don't think much.
So has anyone ever died from space debris? I'll tell you, some people have been eaten by sharks. I bet you they have. I'm just curious.
I think there is like a real thing about there's so much like old satellites and just things kind of floating around up there. There's all this garbage in space.
Real quick related, when somebody fires a gun up in the air, does that bullet land on somebody?
Well, I mean, what goes up must come down, right? This is a little Sir Isaac Newton.
Yeah, I wonder if people have died that way. I don't often hear about either space debris or bullets fired up in the air.
Just random. Who's firing random shots in the air? Or just like, it's America. What am I
Watch
talking
Fast
about?
and Furious? Doesn't every race start with them firing a gun?
Well, it's not a real bullet.
I'm saying, I thought they're real street races. I assume that they took it from that.
Maybe.
Actually, unfortunately, in movies, it probably was a real bullet at this point. But yeah, I don't know. You now have me something new to be. I'll join on board. I'll be nervous about space debris. Sure.
I mean, isn't this the way it likely goes? Like asteroid, aren't we due?
Well, that's not space debris. That's a little different.
Well, it's the same category though. Something floating around in space that's going to enter our atmosphere and fall into your
It's
house.
almost like the Michael Phelps thing, though. Wouldn't we have like a great deal of warning that it's going to happen? Like people are observing space all the time, wondering what's going to happen.
I know that's where we're getting all these articles. It's like it's on track.
Right, but then you could say, okay, if it's going to hit New York, I'll go to Canada for a week.
I know, but you.
No, I do think
they don't. I don't think they know to that exact.
Space debris and asteroids with the same trajectory towards that's completely different topics. I think the asteroids. That's a natural phenomenon that can happen.
Sure, but
these satellites up in the air is something to really be scared about now.
Yes, I've got Perloff on board. I'm scared of both. Let's get to Shohei Ohtani.
He is the most amazing man in baseball. Here is what Shohei Ohtani did today.
Hit a home run. Hit a home run. Hit a home run. Hit a home run, Perloff, in his first spring training game. Shohei Ohtani showing no ill effects of the reconstructed elbow or whatever the surgery is that he got done.
There we go.
Can the expectations be, if they're not World Series and MVP, I don't think the expectations can be high enough for Ohtani, is what I'm saying.
So is he two-time reigning MVP or two-time MVP?
No.
Was there a year in between?
Judge won the year he hit 62 home runs, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it was Shohei won, took a year off, and won again. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, there's no other way around it. The Dodgers already have these World Series expectations. So, but that being said, though, something about the Dodgers, we don't kill them when they lose like we do with the Yankees, right? Like, nobody's like rips the Dodgers to shreds.
Well, I mean, I think they get criticized a lot. I think Dave Roberts gets criticized.
Yeah, it's
Clayton
funny.
Kershaw is like such a legend, but, has some high-profile failures. And the 60-game World Series, no shot. That is not legit to me.
I feel like they sort of got that thing off their back by winning that. You're right. It's a little weak, but I feel like we don't kill the Dodgers. You're right. They have World Series, but if they don't win
60 games is nothing.
But
in
baseball's a crapshoot in the playoffs. That's the thing. It's hard to kill anybody because it's so random.
That's it. Thank you, DJ Stewart. Thank you, Colton. Thank you to Pete Bellotti. Thank you to Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, coffee drinkers. We bid you adieu. We'll see you tomorrow. Metaverse of Maggie and Perloff comes your way on Thursdays. Bye.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.